welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forum.
This is Parker. Go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD, on those forums.
This is Jeremy. Still don't check forums, and when I do, they just piss me off.
I do concur with that. If anybody noticed, I did introduce myself as Mutilus on the forums instead of just Mutilus. I've returned to the forums, like Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings.
You
Except
stupid.
I didn't have a ghost army and nobody noticed. Just ghosting the forums.
I didn't have a ghost army and nobody noticed.
Yeah, I'm the ghost now. It was horrible. I hated every.
It was horrible.
I was just, every time I read a word, I'm like, why? Why is this here? Like, this should be locked. Anyway, quick announcements. Parker, you're down to 930 probationary episodes.
Oh, nice.
And counting.
Not bad. It's close. You're almost dug out of that hole. At this rate, it's only going to be, hold on, wait. Yep, 11 years. 11 more years and you'll be dug out of this hole.
Yeah.
Yep. And then he won't be on probation anymore.
Nope.
As long as you don't do anything bad in that time period. Yep. We're basically like right there.
It's just around the corner, really. Hop, skip, and a jump.
I got one fun announcement. Basically, all of the Adepticon battle reports from this year's Adepticon, where I film games, are posted on our YouTube channel. Go check out Infamous MCP on YouTube. And there's over, I think it's like 80 battle reports posted now, and a lot of them are from Adepticon. So go check those out. They're fun.
Some of them feature Brandon not losing.
None of them feature Brandon not losing. I was not on my own recorded games very often.
Oh, that's right.
The only one, in fact, that I played that I recorded was my random exhibition game against Chuck, which I lost. Turns out Black Order is good.
Yeah.
Whatever.
More.
Yeah.
News at 11.
Yeah. Jeremy, you have anything you want to expand on that?
No.
No,
I think it's
not
clever.
today.
It's a smart move, and, well done.
Don't know why that's so funny to me. It's
So,
like, yep, it was a good race. Car ran real good.
That's good. It's
Moving
nice.
on.
Ran real good. Yeah, exactly.
Car ran real good. All right, Parker, hit us with it.
News. All right. How super is your giant? We have.
Oh my God,
the
so
super
giant.
She is
So giant.
She is the most super giant. Super Giant's card has been revealed, and it is really interesting. I am excited for this character, but let's find out what she does. She is a 3-cost character. She has 1 physical defense, 3 energy defense, and 4 mystic defense. She has 5 health. She has size 2, and she moves short only. And she's identical in her stats on both sides. She has a mystic attack. Her basic only gains 1 power called Mental Vampire, range 3 with 5 dice. It has Drain Life. After this attack is resolved, if it dealt damage, remove 1 damage from this character. That'll become important later. Devastate Intellect, which is her spender. It costs 8 power. It rolls
Only 8
dice. It is range 2. If this attack would deal damage, it does not, and the target character loses that much power instead. So it does not do any damage. However, on a wild, it does stun. On 2 wilds, it staggers. And if you roll a crit wild, 2 hits and 2 skulls, exactly, in the roll somewhere, you get Devour Mind. After this attack is resolved, the target character is healthy, it becomes dazed. If the target character is injured, it becomes KO'd. Full to empty. Insta-crit. It is that horrible...
It's horrible.
Yeah, those horrible moves where you're just like, it's got an insanely low accuracy, but if it hits, headshot.
I like to picture this as the 5-point palm exploding heart technique.
Yes.
That seems to be more accurate than this.
Yeah.
They did the math on this. Have you guys seen what it is?
Yep.
I heard it was like 0.4% or some shit.
It's bad.
Yeah,
low.
it's very, very low.
It gets a little better if you can reroll or add some dice with Thanos, but like there's it's almost no chance.
I mean,
Or
the
you
thing
spend
is, though,
8 and do dick.
Yeah.
Sure. The major issue here is it isn't causing damage. So you're spending 8 power, which was generally probably going to be hard to get, and The issue I have is it's not actually that unlikely to roll it. I know, like, technically the numbers say that, but it's not like it's 6 wilds here, right? Like, yeah, we're talking about the odds, but it's like you get 8 dice, you're going to get some of these results. The biggest problem is that you can't roll more than 2 blanks or blocks, which is 3 of the results. So that's where it's getting random. Like, having to get 2 skulls. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not 3 wilds. I was really surprised it's not 3 wilds and a crit and a skull.
Yeah, it's a lot. Let me see.
Because technically you can stagger them and daze them and stun them.
It's roughly a 0.4% chance. So 4 in 1,000.
Yeah.
And
it just seems like it should be higher than that to me.
And if you roll if the crit is the one you roll, you do get a little bit more because you roll an extra dice,
sure.
right?
You got the extra juice.
Yeah, but if you roll, yeah. So basically, if you roll the crit, it gives you a little bit of extra chance because you do roll one more time. It's.
Anyway, let's go ahead and continue.
Let's talk about this. Is where she gets interesting. Her first power is called Submit. It has X cost. She can spend up to 5 power to use this. Choose a civilian token within range X of the character, where X is the amount of power spent. The character immediately interacts with the chosen character without paying the power cost. So basically, she can instantly scoop up only civilian tokens within X range, where X is the amount of power that she spent. She also has an ability called Supreme Control for 2 power. When an allied character within 4 of this character would be pushed, this character may use. The allied character is not pushed. So she can stop pushing within 4. She also has a passive ability. This is probably her defining characteristic, in my opinion. Ethereal. If this character would suffer 2 or more damage from a physical attack or a collision, it suffers 1 instead. Additionally, if this character suffers damage from a physical attack or collision, it drops all objective tokens it is holding. And basically, in long story short, she only takes 1 damage from physical attacks and collisions ever. But if she does take that 1 damage, she drops any objectives. Yep. Omnipathy. I'm sorry, Omnipathy. Why did I say that weird? Omnipathy is her passive. When an enemy character within 3 of this character rolls 1 or more crits on any roll after the effect is resolved, this character gains 1 power. So she parasites off of enemy crits within 3. And she also can bear the Soul Gem if you want her to cost 4 points.
All right. Jeremy, do you have any overall hot takes about Supergiant?
Man, she's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
I got one. Hot
Definitely
takes.
A non-standard character.
Yeah. Look, she's 3. She's only 3 threat. She is a mystic attacker, and if they're physical attacks, it's going to take a lot of that to kill her. I mean, that's something.
I actually sat down and started looking at the characters in the game that can't hurt her more than 1 at a time. It's actually a lot. Like there is a lot.
Yeah.
There are a lot of characters in the game, and some of them are premium characters that don't have access to an energy or a mystic attack.
Just off the top of my head, you have Lizard, Black Dwarf, Luke Cage,
Venom,
Carnage, Punisher. Yeah.
Almost all the rapid fire guys except the Hood. Almost everybody.
I mean, obviously the rapid fire people, however, have the chance to do multiple damage per attack, but not per attack action, but not per attack individual.
Characters like Rogue. There's just a ton of them.
Honorable mention Shuri.
Yeah. There's yeah, she'll never do 1.
Honorable mention Shuri.
So yeah, there are a lot, like not a few, but a lot of characters that
Wong.
Captain America's. It's amazing how many characters can't do more than 1 damage to this character. It's a lot.
I actually find that extremely infuriating. I think Ethereal is a really dumb rule. Because you have to drop the objective tokens, it's not as bad, but the problem is that she can still contest a point.
Yeah, she is really strong at contesting points because she can also... This is interesting. It says Supreme Control. She says when an allied character. Is she an allied character within 4? Did they rule that in this game?
Yeah. It does not say another,
yes.
So it is her.
So she can also stop herself from being moved back.
Yes.
Not being pushed. She can be thrown, though. She can be thrown, and she can be advanced. Which is curious. It's funny because when she gets thrown, she actually doesn't only takes 1 damage, but she's going to take only 1 damage anyway. But
so this is your hot take?
No, my hot take is I think I was going to say specifically exactly what you just said, which is she's very, very strong at going up against. If you see your opponent is running something like Venom or something like that, and he's going to use Venom to camp on one side, for 3 points she might be able to just stop somebody who can only physically attack and make it really difficult to ever go down. It's very, very hard to imagine a world where she doesn't
Oh my
stay
God.
in the game.
Yeah.
She is an obnoxious criminal. Jesus Christ.
She's going to be.
So my hot take is that you should take your Jean Grey model and throw it in the trash.
That's another hot take, yeah.
Because why in the fuck would you ever play Jean Grey when this model exists?
Yeah.
Wait, stop before you said when this model exists.
Yeah. Statement was already valid. By the way, that we've been wanting this for a really long time is to have mind shielding for less than 5 points. Mm-hmm. Not to mention she has her own power generation.
Yes.
And survivability.
Yeah. And yes, Devastate Intellect is kind of a bad spender, but there are a lot of characters with bad spenders. But her basic attack is great. It's a 5 dice middle attack that gains 1 power and has drained life. And so if she's only ever taking 1 damage, she's maybe not taking any damage that turn.
Yeah. She could theoretically infinitely duel Venom.
Yes. Yes.
It's crazy.
And he can't push her with Webline.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of characters in the game right now that she is going to completely shut down. Oh, and what's awesome is that if there is a physical attacker coming up against her and they start rolling crits, then she gains tons of power and takes 1 damage.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll ever need Soul with her because
I think that's just there as another option to fill out your points in Black Order.
Yeah. And Submit, I think, is an interesting corner case ability. Like if there is a civilian out there and she's the last one to activate, she can get it. She probably the fact that Ethereal makes her drop it pretty fast is.
Well, I actually think it's really cool because if you're fighting on a split flank, like how many of those B and D deployments do you get where there's nothing in the middle? And you can just, like we were talking about, Supergiant's dueling some physical character, just racking up tons of power, but can't defeat the other character either. Mm-hmm. And then randomly on the other side of the board, Corvus takes somebody out, but doesn't have power to pick up the token, or he's already holding one. Yeah. And then they're under the threat of Supergiant taking 1 move, range 5, picking up the person, and then walking back onto the point. And it's oh my God.
That could be difficult to do with only speed short, but from a B perspective,
range 5.
Yeah, if you have 5 power, then I'm not saying it's not possible. I say it's totally possible. Yeah. But on a D deployment or a B deployment, it's totally possible. So yeah, you're exactly right. I think you're going to Submit is going to gain. It's going to definitely affect the game. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially because she's not spending her. I mean, unless you're getting pushed a whole bunch, she's not.
What if she gets field dressing? It's like you daze her, so she's got a bunch of power, and then you field dress her, and she just first picks up a thing at range 5, double moves away, and you're like, no!
Or I mean, double move away from a small base with move small doesn't go very far. But
I mean,
middle,
it's a decent distance. It's like range 3.
Another faction I think that's going to really love her is Convocation. She's got mystic attacks for their leadership and.
More anti-physical
stuff. You could actually now take some attacks that she doesn't like and turn them into some. Actually, no, you'd always want to take physical, but not taking damage from collision. They usually have to buy a really expensive frontliner like Juggernaut that loves to be up in the front. But she is a 3-coster that can easily you put her into dangerous places. And
I don't know that's true because I think there's actually a decent amount of the time you would rather roll 4 dice defense against a 4-die attack. Mm-hmm. It depends.
Yeah, but you could choose when, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that you're only ever taking 1 damage from collision is big for that faction too.
Because also, if she's actually holding an objective, guess what? She doesn't drop it now.
Yes. Yeah, she'll actually block it instead of not take it. That's right, or even if she did take some damage, who cares? She doesn't drop it because it wasn't a physical attack.
You have to one-shot her now. Congrats!
Right.
It's totally different.
So,
and also they're a fairly scenario-heavy affiliation, and so when you're combining Supreme Control on top of that to make it even harder to clear those points, that's pretty big.
Yeah, I think she's going to be really interesting and useful in Convocation. Because they're that faction is a goofy faction that wants to do goofy stuff, and that's kind of what this character is. She's not a straightforward character.
So when I first skimmed her card, I thought she was completely busted. I didn't realize that Devastate Intellect didn't do damage, though, because I was just quickly skimming it at work. And then I didn't realize that Ethereal made her drop objective tokens. I got to takes 1 damage instead and just closed my phone. I was like, whatever. So it's not as bad as I originally thought, but I do think she's immediately going to be in the elite 3-point slot. This is going to be a model that's taken in a lot of different places.
The one thing she doesn't have is she doesn't move herself at all, and she's a move short, probably small base model.
Yeah.
And so that is not nothing. She's gonna move like Crossbones.
She compares really evenly, I think, to Mysterio. They're both very short and ponderous control type characters.
Yeah, but she does not move your opponents at all.
True.
So.
She is in a faction with Mothership, so movement really isn't that big of a deal.
Also, Thanos is in the faction too. If you're playing Thanos with her, so he can move her too. There's lots of ways for her to move around in the game too, but it's the fact that you have to move her is not nothing. I think your note on criminals is a big deal because she's gonna feel really good. I think in one of the near back deployments. I think she's going to feel really good with that, because how's your opponent going to go and deal with her? She can even move towards a B deployment on first turn and just be like, here, come at me, whatever it is you have. You're a big, scary physical attacker, I don't care. She's also going to feel good in Convocation, and she is Black Order member.
What's the most power you could stack on her on the first turn?
How much can you stack on her without the Soul Gem?
No, first turn. Obviously, it's probably going to end up being Inhumans, but I'm just trying to think if she could take if you did Spider Infected, so it's a Foxtrot deployment. I think she could actually steal one of the opponents, but it'd be so obvious you were doing it. I don't know that you could really stop it, or you could get it to work because your opponent would have to be asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any weird interactions with getting her extra power to interact at range 2 or 3 on the first turn. Obviously, you could advance R&D. That way she could pick up at range 2, but I don't know that it matters. Yeah, I can't think of a way it would matter, unless there's a new mission. If they did a civilian mission on a deployment A, then it could matter, because she could actually... Because it says interact with the token. Well, I guess you still can pick up one that wasn't meant for you. But yeah, if they did a civilian one on A, she could, get a power, pick up her own, double move away to make it even harder for you to get it back. I don't know. It'd be weird. I'm just trying to think of weird ways to interact with her ability.
Yeah, I think she's gonna. I think at 3 points, she's like you said, she's gonna be a premium 3-point goofy character. I don't know if she's going to be as brutal as a Doc Voodoo because of how weird she bends the game, or if she'll be kind of like you said with Mysterio, and she'll be played like Mysterio is, which is actually not a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking is when Mysterio's the best option, he's by far and away the best option. I think that's what Supergiant's going to be. But I think a lot of people are going to be looking at her card going, this character is nuts. Then get her on the table and go, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought.
Right. Which
is kind of what happened with Mysterio. We thought Mysterio was the best character in the game until you played with him and you realized, yeah, he's actually pretty limited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see her on the table. So let's move on to Supergiant's new card.
Yep. So we've got 3 different cards that we know they're coming in the box of Supergiant and the Black Swan. The one that has Supergiant is actually playable by Supergiant or Ebony Ball, called Psychic Shockwave. Either of them has to spend 3 power. Roll 5 dice for each enemy character holding an objective token of any kind. The enemy character suffers 1 damage for each wild and crit result. If the character is damaged this way, it drops all objective tokens it is currently holding. The player chooses the order in which the effects are resolved. So
it's not either, it's both. They both have to pay 3. It's exactly well-laid plans.
Supergiant Energy may each spend... Oh, I thought the may meant one of them, but you're saying...
No, you may play it.
I see. You may play it, but you have to do both of them have 3.
Yeah, it's the same as the Doc Ock and Green Goblin card well-laid plans.
Yeah. It's a little bit different than well-laid plans, right? Because doesn't well-laid plans also...
exactly the same.
Is it precisely the same?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Terra Genesis is the one that does an extra effect.
That is noticeably different.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's well-laid plans, but for Black Order now. What do you guys think of that?
I'm very excited. I'm excited to get Ebony Maw on the table, and I think Supergiant is a great fit in Black Order. And so this card becomes super live. So yeah, I'm excited to play it. I obviously, with this in introduction, they're trying to make Black Order a more synergistic faction within themselves and not just a plug and play elsewhere. And I think that's good for the game.
I really like that it's. I just like this kind of effect where it's. Where it stops hoarding automatically, right? It's one of those cards that, you know, we talked about hammers before, how sometimes certain characters can get hammers. You're like, well, you lost because you know he got Ghost Rider got 3 hammers, so it's over because he's always going to be able to come in, smash you for too much, and then leave. But this is the kind of card that goes, you know what? He's not going to do that this turn. This turn, I'm going to stop him from doing that this way. So I like that. I like anything that is a cool counterplay to kingmakers and tower builders with objective tokens. It also can do things like, you know, for low health characters like your Black Widows and things like that, it might accidentally daze them. That's very low chance of that, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's potentially good at finishing people off.
This gets better with things like cubes, cosmic cubes.
Where they're already taking damage.
Yeah, because if they've already taken, like if somebody picks up 2 cosmic cubes, then this thing might kill them.
Yeah, just think if you're doing like cubes on Gamma, if you're sending a slow character out to a flank to grab one of the cubes, you're probably not making it back to the safe house. So you're probably taking 2 damage that turn. And then on the following turn, you're taking a damage for the cube at least. So if you play this on turn 3, when you have guaranteed enough power on Supergiant, they've already taken at least 3 damage potentially, and then you're rolling 5 dice against them. That's potentially very devastating.
Yeah, I like one of the things I loved about playing Spider Foes is you purposely put everything that does a damage to you, right? Because you're planning on that, like tipping. It tips it over.
You just want minus enemy health. That's all you care about. You just want to make their health pool smaller.
Right. And so
fun interaction.
This also does this.
Yeah, fun interaction already with her submit ability. This can be used to force people to drop stuff.
Yeah, and then she picks it up immediately.
And then she just picks it up even outside range 1. So you don't even have to like be super close to them.
Right.
And obviously that's a lot of power, but she can potentially get a bunch of power. So because her only real spending is preventing control and picking up objectives. So
right.
All right. So let's do Black Onslaught next.
Yep. So Black Onslaught is a Black Order only card. It's reactive if Black Swan is within range 2 of an allied Black Dwarf when she uses a charge. They each may spend 1 power to play this card. After the charge movement action is resolved, but before making the attack action, you may place Black Dwarf within 1 of Black Swan. So a couple things to notice about this card. First of all is Black Dwarf, remember, is a large base, which means he moves very far on the table when he does this. Like the actual distance is pretty incredible.
Yeah, because it's within 1 of a small, medium, and then with 1 of a small again.
No, it's within 2 of a small, medium, then within 1 of a small.
Oh, you start within 2.
Yeah. He can move way far. Now it does not give him an immediate attack like Special Delivery does. So it's not going to immediately let him engage, but it only costs 1. So really early in the game, I don't know if you really want to do it on turn 1, you technically can, because Black Swan can take the Power Stone.
Gem.
So she can immediately, it's active on turn 1 if she has a Power Stone. On turn 2, she would have to have gotten power in some other way, like with a objective token or something like that that gives power. But if you wanted it on turn 2, of course the Power Stone also gives it to her, and she could go there and do more things. But you can turn this on really early in the game with the combination of Power Stone and Black Swan.
I think this is even better on later turns, changing up the board state, surprisingly, because the biggest problem that Black Dwarf has isn't really closing the distance, because functionally he's about as fast as your average character. The problem is that he doesn't catch up well later in games, that people start running away from him. And so using this to reposition him to a more important strategic space later in the game, once the board state has changed, I think is much more powerful. And I think that the intended effect of this is not just moving Black Dwarf, but specifically applying his intimidating presence bubble
right
to a more important location at the drop of a hat. So you not only get to activate Black Swan to get your damage in, but he gets to place to then protect Black Swan at the most important point.
Yeah, it's extremely, extremely amazing to move Black Dwarf precisely. Like, this is exactly what you want Black Dwarf to be able to do.
And it's cheaper than Mothership.
Yes. And then you could use your Black Dwarf on, you use your Mothership on a model that doesn't move proactively at all. So it gives you more proactive stuff to do in a faction that already had some tactics cards. One tactics card that could do it. Now it's got, now it's got two.
I mean, between Mothership and Black Order Onslaught and potentially taking Space Stone on Maw, Black Order is shaping up to have a lot of tactical repositioning.
Yes, which is super cool. Jeremy, you love Black Dwarf, right? What do you think about Black Onslaught?
He hates Black Dwarf.
I'm always a fan of... I think that's one of the brilliant parts of this game is how tactics cards are applied and their ability just to shake things up. These do exactly that. They're shaking up. I mean, Ebony Maw is included in here. Black Swan, Black Dwarf, like all these guys suddenly become like interesting again. Maybe they weren't interesting before, but now you're like, oh wait, I can do something cool and relevant very easily and quickly. Like they didn't have to rewrite a card. They just throw these guys in there and it's like, go for it. I love that. I mean, I'm all about it.
So,
yeah, I love they're seamlessly bridging the legacy models with the new models in ways that encourage you to get not just the new ones, but both on the field.
Speaking of that, if you want to play Black Order with Legacy and the new models, how are you going to afford Thanos in there? Well, they have an answer for that too. The first Black Order card is a Black Order reactive card that says if your squad does not contain Thanos the Mad Titan after deployment, when you would normally select your leadership, Corvus Glaive may immediately play this card. Corvus Glaive now gains the leadership ability with this active. Right Hand Man. Affiliation for Black Order. When an allied Black Order character daces or KOs an enemy character, all other Black Order characters gain 1 power. So a couple of things to know about that. 1, the character who does the dazing or KOing does not gain 1 power. And 2, this is only Black Order characters. This is the first affiliation leadership ability that only affects models in that affiliation.
So just so people are clear, define what a squad is, Parker.
What?
That depends on what the definition of is.
Yeah, what was your definition
of
Q?
What I'm getting at is it's not the models you pick to put on the table, it's the 10 models that you pick. So Thanos can't be included in your pile.
That's
right?
roster.
That's roster.
No, squad is the models you're physically playing
so
with.
Thanos is absolutely in your roster, but when
that sucks.
So your like 17 points, for example, would be your squad. Your 10 characters is your roster.
Yes. So Thanos you can absolutely put Thanos in your list as a model potentially to play, but if you don't put down Thanos, you can choose this tactics card. Now my first question, go ahead.
This has already been confirmed that it takes up one of your 5 slots.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
This is my first thing to ask you guys. We've talked before about there's another card in the game that's super duper bad in X-Force called Cat and Mouse. That if you do something really dumb, you get a power on all your guys. Haha. Is this worth a tactic slot?
Yes.
Okay, straight up, yes. Why? Tell me why.
Yes.
I'm not mad. I'm asking.
I think in an average game, you're looking at dazing to KOing 5 models throughout the course of a game. I think that's pretty fair to say, even if you're going for scenario. Just because the fights happen because people are competing over the same valued points.
Yep.
So if you're bringing even a 4 character roster, which I think is pretty doable, because you got multiple 3s, multiple 4s, and then put stones on top of that. So if you are triggering this ability 5 times with 4 characters, that is an extra 15 power throughout the game. That's got value.
Yeah.
That's a lot of value.
Also, every one of those characters would love to have some power because they use them.
Yeah, they all spend power very well,
right.
Except for arguably, Supergiant.
Maybe if she doesn't have the scenario.
Potentially, yeah.
She might.
She theoretically could be the best at spending power. It just depends.
Hers is the most situational, less proactive. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really my answer to that was also that I think this is worth a tactics card. I think some people might look at this and go, "Oh man, not tactics card."
Again, when I first skimmed it, I said absolutely not because I read it as the character gains 1 power, and I was just skimming it quickly at work. I was like, oh man, that card is trash.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, each other? I was like, oh yeah, that's like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
The problem being that they're clearly trying to make a Black Order a parasitic faction. They're trying to make them absorb all of your roster space because they do not like the fact that they're being used as a plug and play package. They clearly do not like that. Everything about this card says stop playing non-Black Order characters.
Right.
Like, they're just trying to get you to shoehorn in as much Black Order as you can, make them less inclusive, more exclusive to play Black Order. Because they clearly do not like the way they're being used.
Well, currently...
I love this. I love it.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I really like how the fact that this card really screws
Minions.
grunts. Absolutely. Just completely really nukes them. So Black Order basically was designed from start as we kill grunts. Like, do not bring a grunt. Ever. Whether you're Thanos or these guys. Do not bring a grunt.
You might say they feast on grunts.
They feast.
Like, but not like brutes, like they fancy feast on grunts.
Mhm.
Like, they're very delicate. So my issue here is that they specifically say when a Black Order character dazes or KOs. Now, Aaron in our Discord brought up the fact that there's no actual clarification on what it means for a character to KO another character. That's more kind of just implied to what happens.
Right.
Because generally, all the other abilities, like Sam, for example, just says when an ally is dazed or KO'd. Or I believe Thanos also says when an enemy is dazed or KO'd. They've not clarified what it means for a character to daze another character. So, for example,
Throw
if
damage.
Black Dwarf picks up a grunt
Yeah.
and throws it into Nick Fury and it dies as a result, under my interpretation, Black Dwarf did not daze that character. The collision rules daze that character.
Yeah.
Because it's not as a result of his attack. And so, where's the line there?
Well,
What happens if my character gives you bleed and then you die? Well, I think we'd all agree that that's past the line. But what happens when I pick up a trash can and throw it at your grunt and then your grunt dies as a result of being hit by a trash can? I never interacted with your grunt. He just died.
Well, I was going to say, I think what this should say, it is a bad wording. I agree. I think what it should say is when a Black Order character dazes, or rather, when a character gets dazed as a result of a Black Order effect, because
Right.
they've said it for a long time, an enemy effect does X, all other things do Y. So like bleed does nothing to get you power, for example, not an enemy effect. But throw damage, collision damage is an enemy effect. You get anything that keys off of that, anything that like power generation, that works.
Gotcha. So, question. So if Black Dwarf were to throw a dumpster into a grunt and kills them, you think that should count?
Yes, because it's an enemy effect.
What happens if Ebony Maw plays Heave Ho? It's now non-ability on a Black Order character's card even. It's a random tactics card.
In the game right now, if you use Heave Ho and you throw something at somebody, do you get power for it? Then it counts.
No, I mean, no, you don't.
So if somebody does a Heave Ho,
it's an enemy effect, but that's the question is like at where do you draw the line in that minutia then? Like, what happens if I play
you don't even have to do that.
The equivalent of Demolition Pack, right? Like, I do the Demolition Pack.
You don't even get that far. Let's just talk about Psychic Shockwave. It's in the faction. Like,
that was my next question.
Yeah. So I think Psychic Shockwave is an enemy effect. I know when maybe I'm way off.
It is definitely an enemy effect. Is it a Black Order enemy effect? Is this damage coming from the characters, or is this a player effect?
If it's not, then there's a lot of things in the game that you shouldn't get power for.
No, because that's not the definition of gaining power. Gaining power is specifically an enemy effect.
Yes.
Anything controlled by the opposing player is an enemy effect.
Yeah.
What is Black Order effect?
Oh, that's what you're saying. The bold Black
That's the
Order.
question.
Now I understand.
Yeah, if it just said you do it, fine.
Right.
But I think they could clean this up because obviously I think there's an intuitive level here where you can just be like, okay, well, let's use common sense. But not everyone, as I'll tell you from the forums, not everyone's line on common sense is in the same place.
Right. They're those. They're guys. I believe they're called rules lawyers that are just.
I don't even think rules lawyers. I think there's just people that read things differently.
Yeah. Well,
due to life experience or whatever,
Yeah.
they just don't read stuff the same way.
Yeah, they just look at it
And
go,
some
but
people
this doesn't say.
Yeah.
It says Black.
So I
Order
think a
bold.
better wording would say if a enemy character is dazed or KO'd during a Black Order character's turn, all other Black Order characters gain a power. I think that would be a cleaner way to write it. I don't think in its current interpretation there's going to be a lot of clean rulings until the ruling comes out on the forums. But that's just saying that this wording was not good enough to survive not having an FAQ.
Yeah.
Because I think, as written, if you play Psychic Shockwave, I don't know. How do you say a character is doing a tactics card? Like, the damage is coming from the tactics card, not from anything on the character's card.
Well, characters do play the tactics cards. That's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both Black Order members. They just happen to be, right? They're not.
Right.
They just happen to be Black Order members. Yeah. This is...
Like, by that justification, if the card said Black Order affiliated on it, I would even give it to you. That's a stronger argument to me, because like, there's nothing about this card that says Black Order.
But Psychic Shockwave does not say Black Order.
Yeah, there's Black Order's not written anywhere on the card, and that's where the damage is coming from.
Right. And I hear you. Yep.
So yeah, it's just awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But I think intuitively, there's very few situations where we really get into the mud. Primarily for me, it's when it comes to throws.
Yeah, let me be really honest right now. If any of you want to play Corvus Glaive's leadership ability against me, and you do something to damage me with your Black Order characters,
you're gonna try and find a loophole.
I'm giving you a power. You all of your guys get power. All of them get power. You know what? If you play Psychic Shockwave, the Super Giant and Ebony Maw, they both get it. Because Super
I can't
Giant,
wait for the rules lawyer. It's like, well, your characters aren't doing anything. It's you, the player, that's doing everything.
Do you realize,
none of these are actually Black Order effects.
By the way, also let's just talk about Psychic Shockwave for a second. Super Giant and Ebony Maw do this. So do they both get a power because they're both other Black Order characters?
That's actually a really good question.
Yeah, like they're both other Black Orders.
My favorite, technically, Super Giant is not yet a Black Order member. Let's argue about that.
Yeah. well
she's not in the Black Order affiliation box.
For every power that Parker lets you have,
yeah,
I will not let you have it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I refuse to believe it works that way.
Yeah.
And we will both have to wait until it gets resolved.
For me, primarily, the biggest question mark when it comes to the leadership is going to be collision damage. Like, if Black Order or Black Dwarf picks you up and throws you, and you take damage and are dazed or KO'd, I think you're fine. If he runs into somebody else, I think the argument is that they caused the damage, because they are the one that forced the collision. Like, I think that makes just as much sense as saying Black Dwarf did it.
Yeah. That one is a judgment call. That is tough.
Yeah. That's going to be ruled a lot of different ways, I believe. But I think it's intended to work. They could have fixed this and just said only usable if you have only Black Order characters in your squad.
Yeah. But then it would make cards like Seeing Red and stuff like that be harder. Like, that would be you wouldn't get first the Black Order when you saw red, because it's not during your activation. We're talking about like your solution of making it during Black Order activations. There's a couple different cards that interrupt your opponent and do things, but
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. Oh, my God.
What?
God, I hope it gets worded this way. So what happens? So if we rule that Psychic Shockwave works, right?
Uh-huh.
And we say that it's a tactics card played by a Black Order member, it counts, right?
Sure.
Oh, no, this wouldn't work. Damn it. Never mind. I was really excited. I forgot it said enemy character. I was really hoping if you did Blood Despair and you KO'd your own character.
Yeah, everybody gains the power.
And then everyone would get you'd give everyone the 3 power and then another power.
But
he killed somebody.
Here's a real
it's enemy only. Yeah.
Here's a real dumb one that you could make an argument. If you played Helios Laser from Iron Man while you're playing Black Order, and all your characters give all the power into it, they all played.
No, that wouldn't work, because specifically Iron Man is making an attack. That's what the card does. It gives him the ability to make the attack. The power just determines the dice pool.
But I don't know. His powers.
Well, by that argument, then everyone would get the power, because everyone is another character that made the attack.
Yeah, I know. That
wouldn't work.
I'm just trying to say something dumb, because it's too generically, or rather, it's too specifically worded. It should have just said something. I think they were trying to, obviously they were trying, like you said, they were trying to say, please stop splashing Black Order and stuff.
Yeah. Please
don't play X-23, Honey Badger, and Hood in your Black Order army. The Black Order is a Black Order. Play Black Order. We will help you benefit.
They're trying to incentivize you as much as possible.
Right. Yeah. And so that's why they put the words Black Order in there. But it's so specific, unlike all the other affiliations of the game that are a little bit more intuitive. This one has some weird things that make you scratch your head for a moment. Yeah.
I think we're going to have to get a clarification on the leadership, but I'm pretty excited. I think both of these cards have merit, and especially, like we talked about previously, if there is a Tactics cards, not nuking, but like filtering, we'll say, if there's the redistribution of Tactics cards, these could become extremely powerful based on what's available.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
First, the Black Order as a Tactics card, even though you're taking one of your 5, definitely goes up if Field Dressing and Medpack aren't.
Well, I meant the
strapped
other
in.
2 specifically, but yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're not locked into having fucking Field Dressing, Medpack, Climbing Gear, and Indomitable in every fucking 5, then it's not a big deal.
Right. Well, I was talking specifically about first the Black Order, because there's times when
Right.
I'm just like, oh man, could I really use that 10-ish extra
But
power over Field Dressing? Yeah,
That's exactly my point. How does Black Onslaught make the cut when you're playing those other 4 cards? Like, it's just like, I'll even argue that first the Black Order makes the 5.
Right.
And I'm fine with that, because in the list that it's good, just like Mysterio, like we said earlier, it's good.
Yeah.
Like, when it's the right call, it's the right call. But then you're never going to make these other 2, so like, why even put them in your 10?
I had one more question before we left this particular topic, about Black Order. I was staring at Black Order because now you can't just throw your gems around like you used to, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to actually pick and choose.
So, is there a world in which Thanos does not have the Space Stone, and you give Space Stone to Ebony Maw, probably Mind still to Thanos, and what?
I think it's possible, but unlikely. I don't. Yeah. I want to test and see if Space Stone on Maw is any good. Now that it's only 1 point, it's certainly a lot more appealing. And now that Ebony Maw isn't strangled on power, it's certainly even more appealing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to try it. It is very possible, but I think, I don't know, it kind of depends on what the list shakes out to, because Thanos is kind of the jack of all trades. He can do whatever he wants, and so it's really up to, what he needs to fill as a role.
Right.
Like, what point totals are you playing him at? What characters are you playing him with to meet those point totals? That's really going to make the decision.
I think it's really cool that you can say, like, well, okay, well, I need to have a 5-point character, but I don't want it to be Ebony Maw, so now it's Black Swan with Power Stone. Like, that's kind of cool. I like that. I like that a bunch.
The problem I have with this release in general is that, and I know Jeremy won't say it because he's off his complaint about Thanos bandwagon, so I'm going to say it for him. If they're making Black Order noticeably better, which it feels like they are, they're doing it through, however, giving them more options, not better options necessarily. But making them more versatile makes them also harder to play against, because it's no longer an obvious foregone conclusion what they're doing. I'm a little worried that if they're not going to do anything to Thanos, he's still going to be the fucking one-man wrecking crew that he currently is, and I'm worried about that. I think that this release is still going to be a bad idea unless Thanos is getting his fucking comeuppance finally. So we'll see.
Wait, I have one thing to say.
I'm very excited about the rest of the Black Order.
Jeremy,
I have one thing to say about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Just give me a thumbs up if you agree.
Thanos is fine.
Thanos is fine.
Jeremy,
that was on a recorded channel. I'm gonna throw that in your face constantly.
Jeremy, I have a question, because you have your pulse on the beat, the beating heart of this game. You listen to other folks and what they think.
Mm-hmm.
Is Thanos a recurring problem theme, or is everybody just talking about how great he is and how no one should ever touch him because he's the gold standard model? Or
what does TTS League think about Thanos?
Does he gain as much ire as he gains around here? Because
I believe it's more.
Or is it more other places? What do you know?
It is universally known that he is between slightly overpowered to just a disaster of overpowered. Nobody is saying that he's okay. Except me. I think he's fine.
Jeremy thinks Thanos is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think he's fair and balanced in every way.
I'm making a timestamp note so I can fucking cut that later.
Yep.
It's just like other things, Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
I told look,
legit.
This is the positive. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. Thanos is fine. He makes the game fun, I think.
Yep.
It's hard. This is difficult. This is very difficult.
I was gonna say,
you guys are fucking with me now.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are messing with me, and this is
you
not
look
cool.
like you're rubbing your knuckles because of cheese.
All right,
right
so hold on. I just want objective statements here. I'm not trying to troll you at all. What was the percentage of like top 10 in TDS that had Thanos? Like out of the 10, how many was it? Do you think? if you don't know exactly.
I honestly don't know. It's over half.
Yeah. I've heard the rumors of numbers where it was like 80 to 90% of like the top finishers had Thanos in their list.
I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, honestly, there's no reason not to.
It costs you so little, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the problem. Is that there's so many options now that dual affiliation is pretty rare because so much of your list would need to change to meet the optimal list.
Mm-hmm.
But then you end up with this convenient like 3 character slots left to try and fill out your roster, and it's just like so natural. It's like I don't even know that it's really the community's fault. I think we've almost been like accidentally shoehorned into this issue where Thanos just gets jammed in every competitive roster. It's like, what do you do?
Well, I mean, also, hasn't he been like this for a long time, right? Like,
I think the understanding of crisis play has evolved a lot over the last 2 years.
no, but I mean,
And that's really why he's becomes this big issue. And also, they fixed a lot of the other issue models, just not Thanos.
right. I guess what I'm saying is, like, wasn't he a splash in the Las Vegas championship, and wasn't he a splash at Warfare Weekend, and wasn't he a splash at like all these number 1 rankings? I don't know about TTS, but like all these tournament winners are splashing.
Well,
Thanos
in-person events are different than online
Right.
because you don't have a connection to the models, right?
Yeah.
The physical aspect of the game doesn't exist on online games. So that's why I think you get a truer representation of the meta when you're doing online, because if you like love Magneto, for example, it doesn't matter if you're using a video game, right? Like where you don't even have good looking images of the models, because TTS is like, screen grabs and stuff or like 2-dimensional cutouts of the models. It's not nearly as aesthetically pleasing, so you tend to just play what's good and not necessarily what you like. I think that happens more so, not exclusively, but more so.
I would disagree that it's that it's a good statement on the meta, but it is. I will agree also that people are looking more they're playing more Math Hammer than their favorite model. I get that.
Yeah, it turns into more of a board game situation as opposed to like a hobby game.
Yes, I'm with you.
But anyway, also I think the knowledge of the game has evolved a lot, and really we're only talking about probably about 8 months of like really competitive play since the updates really went live and people got used to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about 8 months of play since Thanos became not 3 character slots. And that was a big difference when you could take a list specifically designed for Thanos, specifically the 3 Black Order members, like, the husband, wife, Thanos, went from being 6 character slots to 3. That was an absolutely unbelievable difference. So that's really what started it, and then it took a while for people to settle into and get used to the meta, and then I think that's really when it went crazy.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. Let's do... I don't think we really have anything new for currently playing, right? Did you guys...
I had one thing to say.
You had one important thing you want to say?
Which is, last podcast, I talked about my weird... list. I was trying to play Cassandra Nova and Mr. Sinister and see if I could do something with that. And as it turns out, if you want to play Cabal, at least like that, it's really fun to watch Cabal lose. If you're interested in if you're really interested in being like, how can I sit down and watch a game? By the way, not a long game. It only took about 40 minutes, where my opponent is just going to not pick like the best models. I mean, I was playing a strong opponent, so he knew how to play the game for sure. But he was purposely building a list that out of models he never played before, with a faction he never played before, and he's like, I'll see if I can do this. And then I think I scored 2 points, and he scored 16 by turn 3, and that was it. And it was like, huh. And I looked around, and in the middle of turn 2, I kind of stared at it and I go, there wasn't really anything I could have done this game. And he goes, no, I guess not. Like, it was just kind of a we mutually agreed that, yep, this is as bad as we thought it was.
What did you play specifically?
So, to be fair, we both agreed that I didn't have to do what I did. I tried to shoehorn in at 17 points the Mr. Sinister, Cassandra Nova, Honey Badger, Clone Vat package to try to put X-23 on the board. I used Bob as the third body because Bob doesn't care about his health, and so I used Bob, Honey Badger, Red Skull, Sinister and Cassandra Nova. And so I thought that Sinister and Cassandra Nova could do a little bit of controlling and keep me in the game until I was able to, pop out Honey Badger later and stuff like that. And it just doesn't work. It just didn't work. I found out that also it was a B deployment, and I think if you want to do this tactic, you need like exactly Demons Downtown so that you can play 19 points and all your opponents kind of try to line up. And even then, what you'll get for all your trouble is an X-23. So are you winning with that X-23? Getting her on third turn, when she's a great second turn character?
No, I think that was really the problem, is that you needed X-23. I think the summoning Honey Badger made more sense.
Yeah.
And having played Sinister a decent amount, and I always played him pretty much with the cloning plan. I think just playing him in like X-Force with like Honey Badger, X-23, and Cable would have been fine.
Yeah. I think I was trying to see if like being in Cabal helped him. It did allow him to do more of his beams. But like that wasn't the problem. It was a bad scenario and a bad point value for that list. But what it told me was, oh, so I'm playing a list that its main gimmick is only going to activate in exactly this this hard to control moment. Like, yeah, I guess if you live the dream, then you get some really cool attrition plan. But it's just a cool attrition plan. It's a bit too much of a gimmick.
Yeah.
I don't think Cabal with healing models like Sabretooth and using that and Mordo and like there's a bunch of different like ways to make Cabal better right now with some of the newer models. So I think Cabal is still strong, and there are really good models that got revamped like Ultron. So basically I was looking at that faction again after a long time has passed and been like, hey, has Cabal really changed a lot? And I think it has with things like Mordo and Ultron's rework. But I think that's how you play Cabal, and if that's what you're doing, and you're just trying to kill people, I think you can actually kill people in better ways in other factions right now. So
yeah, I think they play a bit like Brotherhood. I've kind of always felt that way, where they just kind of have like above average models that want to fight. Like that's just kind of the way Cabal works.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing anything gimmicky outside of that, it's just costly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's but like you just said, I think Brotherhood feels great to just fight. X-Force and Spider Foes feel great to just fight. I love Criminals. I feel like Criminals are tippy top right now with just fight.
Actually, Sinister in Spider Foes would be interesting.
Yeah,
because it gives you kind of like a late game finish piece.
Yep. I don't think that's bad at all. Also, there's a ton of 4s and just have more models. It's not bad.
Yeah, because like he fits the framework of a Spider Foe. He's a tough 4-pointer on a medium base. Got it. Yeah. Fucking nailed in one, bro. Yeah. He's also a $25 price point. Perfect example of what a Spider Foe should look like.
Yep. That's all the things they want. Yeah, it's...
I remember when we joked about it. We were like, they have 5 $25 box set characters that are on a medium base with 7 health. Like, what the fuck happened?
Basically...
Like, who designed this affiliation? It was just like copying his homework, like, repeatedly. It's like, dude, we noticed.
Spider Foes is basically pay to win. It's the pay to win faction.
Yeah.
But...
Yes.
If you win, it's pay to win.
Yeah. 7 hit points, medium base, got it.
Yeah.
Like, fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
But I will say, they have a lot of 4 physical characters, which people don't think that's a big deal. It adds up. When it's every time they hit you, you have 4 physical defense. There's nowhere you can point that is weak to physical, which is like 70% of the damage in the game.
Yeah, I think...
It's pretty funny.
I think...
Also, you're not weak to throws.
So I think you're right, that the Sinister gimmick is not nothing, but it needs to go into a faction that really appreciates it. And I thought Cabal and specifically Red Skull could grease his power wheels a little bit, and it did that, but they really didn't. Like, the whole time I'm just like, man, this would have been much better if I had just had a MODOK instead of Cassandra Nova. And if I really wanted to spend if I really want to spend Mr. Sinister and Honey Badger points, just play like Magneto.
The problem with Sinister is that greasing his wheels has a maximum ceiling.
Right.
So you should be only using him if he's greasing your wheels.
Yeah.
Because the maximum ceiling on him is he summons a 3-pointer on turn 3. That's his maximum ceiling.
Yeah. I like the idea of him in X-Force, I think. I like the idea of him in Spider Foes because they're also healing themselves, and it's cool. I think I think his package, his summoning thing is not nothing. But man, it did not feel good
Ooh.
in that list, and I was reaching way hard for these things. Also, Cassandra Nova, I thought she was good. I don't know how I stared at her card for so long and completely misread the
Everything.
the trap. Yeah, her trap, right? When somebody moves close to her, she can spend power to. For some reason, I always read it with the wrong pronoun, which is I thought it said they are moved short if it does damage, but no, it's she moves short if it does
Yeah.
damage.
It's the Mysterio ability.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is really bad.
This is not at all what I thought
This
it was.
is- I don't know
Oops.
why I've always read this with a different word. I've read it so many times, but I never put it down on the table. And so when I went to do it, he's like, "Oh no, she moves," and I went, "Oh, ugh, okay." It was,
Oops.
yeah, it was, yeah. I felt like I was at a gross disadvantage the whole time because I picked of the models I chose and the strategy I was going in with. But I think
Yeah.
I think there's a place for it, but I don't know if I'll ever go to that place. I guess
Yeah.
if I feel like watching
So
my opponent win for 40 minutes.
I was just thinking about this while you were talking about Sinister, and I was thinking if it was ever worth waiting till turn 4 to summon a 4-point character.
Uh-huh.
And the benefit of it is if you're trying to summon a 3-point character, there's 0 opportunity to miss, right? You have to get 3 tokens on both turns.
Mm,
On turn 1 and turn 2, you must get 3 tokens. It's the only way it works.
right.
If you're going for a 4-pointer on turn 4, you have 1 opportunity to miss one. You can be short once, which isn't terrible actually, because it gives you a lot more leeway to like move and hit 2 people instead of like trying to move and hit 3 people. It's just not possible a lot of the time. So if you're also if you have to spend 1 to like not die, for example,
Right.
that helps a lot too. So in that situation, what if you were summoning Black Swan?
Yeah.
In the
Is
near
it weird?
future?
You just said as soon as I was like Black Swan. Yeah.
No, yeah. So I was just thinking, is like because she's good with 3 power, right?
Yeah.
Because she can potentially charge an I-beam or do a number of other things.
Mhm.
And she's just a solid 4-point model that you don't mind randomly dropping into the game because she is kind of made of glass. She's not overly survivable. She can take a couple hits, but I just think is like you don't really need her for the entire game. She's only really good for 2 turns, and so I was just thinking that might be a good synergy because you get her for 4, 5, 6, which is really her power band. Really, like that's the turns that she's going to make the biggest impact. Is that 3-turn power band?
Right.
Because you can't really focus her down because you're summoning her into an advantageous position with power. I'm just thinking that might be good.
I think one of the things that I found out in this game when I played it, and I'm sure because you've tried it before, is if you whatever you're doing, you need to make sure Sinister is kind of your support model.
Yeah.
It's weird because he's not supporting you at all. He's a bit of a controller, but really what he's doing is summoning in a new guy. But he is the support model. If you spent any points on another support model, you're going to feel way behind. Because
Yeah.
what I found, because I had Red Skull in there and
Yeah.
Bob, and both of them were just so dead to damage. They did something. It's not that they did nothing because they're not totally toothless.
You
But-
feel like your 4th model is just trying to hold up the entire world while they're
Right.
doing their thing.
Right,
Yeah.
and my 4th model was Cassandra Nova. Again, like I played a bunch of controllers and support models, which was horrible. So
I bet you were very frustrated during
yeah,
that
I was
game.
very frustrated watching my army. Like, what is it doing?
You came into the other room and you're like, oh, so you're playing this game, huh? And you just like left.
Yeah.
You look so frustrated.
I was
wondering why. I was like, oh, he
dick.
just had a shit game. That's why.
It was a
Okay.
bad game. But I guess the point I'm saying is all your other models, like Sinister, like I just said, well, Sinister is your support
Yeah.
model. You're spending 4 points on a
He's
support
this
model.
weird like focus point of your army.
Yeah.
But he's not like Hulk. Like he's not a game changing model.
No.
He's just efficient.
And
So he can't carry, and you need him to stay alive, or else your whole plan doesn't work.
And he has
Because if he's spending all of his tokens to stay alive, then you can't summon anybody.
Also, he has 2 of your tactic slots too. So any utility you might have been gaining with other cards, you're losing.
Yeah, I think it's a subpar plan unless you've got some real neat trick.
Yeah. What you just said made me wonder. I wonder if he's actually useful in something even like Avengers for a 4-drop, because there are lots of 4-drops that would love to come in with 3 power. That could be interesting because basically the 3 power goes a little bit longer or activates more proactively if you have Cap. But again, Cap is a 4-pointer who's not doing a lot of damage, and can you afford that in a game? That's hard. But he might help Sinister live a little bit longer and make sure it goes off by turn 4. That's
just for bodyguard.
Say it again.
What you said with Cap?
Yeah, with Cap, because Cap has bodyguard, so he might help him live a little bit longer, so it actually goes off on turn 4. I was thinking about the 4 threat value, and there might be some 4 threat values that could do interesting things when they comes in with 3 power, as long as.
Oh Christ! No, it's Black Panther. If you can plop out a 4-point model with 3 power, he fucking leaps. He can do craziness.
I don't know.
He feels like such a great attrition all game.
I think he's a character you'd want the whole game though. Like
Right.
if you would just take Black Panther instead of Sinister if that was your plan.
I don't know. You're making all these models, and I just don't think it works this way. Like if you're gonna,
I think when you're summoning a model, you want a model that can make a big impact in a short period of time, but doesn't need to be on the board for the entire game. So in my experience, I was usually summoning like Valkyrie, because Valkyrie is going to run out of steam at some point. Like she's going to come in, huge shock value, big plays, and then die. But if they're putting all of their effort into killing her, she takes a lot of the heat off your list. So if they keep trying to kill you, they're letting this super efficient model beat the shit out of them while they're doing it. So it kind of gives you this it's a reinforcement is really what it is.
I agree for a 3-point model. I just don't know that 4-point model is where it's at. Like that to me is kind of.
I wonder
because Black Panther with 3 power is fine, but he's not like, oh god, how you gonna He's more of I'm going to use this model to hold a flank than he is going to go in there and break up a huge pile.
Okay, now here's a model that I think dropping in for 4 might feel really good at the end of the game, and I know Jeremy will not agree. But Wolverine.
Do not agree.
I was actually thinking about this. I think Black Dwarf would be better than Wolverine.
Yes,
because he drops in with power to immediately taunt on a large base. He's hard to control. And he's really hard to ignore.
Oh, I don't think
you might even say he's impossible to ignore.
Yeah. Also, you can't. You're not. Well, the reason why I said Wolverine is you may not kill him for the rest of the game. Like he'll actually get to do all of his things. Like you might daze him, but he's going to get to do his things.
The important thing is
the 3 model.
The biggest thing about Wolverine specifically is he only needs 3 power.
That's why.
And where Black Dwarf would like to have more.
Yeah.
But if you're like, God, I'm about to start losing on game, I'm running out of gas, boom, Black Dwarf game has changed. Now you're not going to be losing on Gamma for a while.
Right.
And so that's why I like him. But obviously in the moment, having both of them available would be huge.
Yeah. I think Wolverine dropping Wolverine on the board when he has 3 power just feels really good.
Is it better than Black Swan? Because I think honestly either one's probably unlikely to die.
Yeah.
Because at turn 4, a lot of stuff's already pretty beat up. Like if Black Swan or Wolverine drop down, kill somebody, and then they're absorbing counterattacks. I mean, that's I think a bad plan on your opponent. They should be attacking your other models. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't think either of them really gets off the table that round, or sorry, the following round. The funny thing we used to say was Ghost Rider because he's impossible to kill in that amount of time. Ultron kind of similarly. Here's an Ultron on turn 4. It's well, he's not going to die. It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
You cannot get him dead.
Yeah, but you want a model that's going to
affect the game. Yeah.
Here's another one. Actually, if you were trying the Captain America plan, you can actually drop in Captain Marvel just as a big ass turret, and then immediately binary form and start blasting things. That would be hard.
Cost 4.
If you're doing the Captain America plan.
Oh, if you're doing sure.
Yeah.
I don't. That sounds bad to me.
I think it's probably bad.
Is there a better mod? Is there a good one that you could drop in and change your leadership with that card? That would be pretty fucking funny. Drop in Kingpin.
There's only
go criminal.
There's only 3 options. It would be Hulkbuster, Sam, Cap. And then the other option is Sin. Oh no, there's another one now. Sin, Red Skull, or Criminals with Kingpin and actually Criminals could be interesting because Kingpin's really good early game leadership, and obviously Daredevil is good all the time, so that could be a good swap later. I don't know that you'd be willing to take both of them in a game, but it'd be interesting. And then, so I think the Red Skull Sin is also bad because you would never take both of them. So your biggest option is probably something in Avengers or really trying hard in Criminals, taking 3 4-pointers. That seems real dumb.
Ooh, here's a weird 4-point drop in. What if you just dropped in Peter Parker Spider-Man and just control the board all of a sudden? Like,
He only has 3 power, though.
yeah.
So you could impact webbing to 4, double wedline 1 impact webbing, and a move or an attack. It'd be okay. It'd be interesting.
I don't know if it works, but it was just an idea.
It would be cute. I think you'd be better off doing Gwen. Gwen does a similar thing
There you go.
because she's also coming out a turn earlier.
Oh, here's
Um,
here's a model that you might not. Ooh. Oh, wait. This actually might work. If you're doing it on turn 4, what if you dropped Carnage?
Carnage could be interesting, but
Because you actually probably have some models within range that he can daze quickly. And so
Yeah.
he might just be painting the town red and making.
well, specifically, you drop in, you do There Will Be Carnage to get the damage boost
Uh-huh.
because you have enough, and as long as you daze them, you should have enough power to paint the town red. And so, yeah, he could come in and start immediately spiraling on people. That could be fun.
Basically, if your opponent had a bunch of half dead models, that's like
Yeah.
Carnage's favorite moment.
So what if you want to try this list again, Parker? You should obviously cut Cassandra Nova and put in Ultron, because Ultron is that focal, like pivot point you need that can hold the middle, and you don't worry about him taking damage because he's got a reasonably survivable stat line. And then you combine on that the fact that he comes back to life once, and then you're getting multiple reinforcements throughout the game because you're getting second Ultron plus your summon model. You should look at that. And then in Cabal you can take Sabretooth, which is another decent like pivot model. So between those 3 models, and you can throw in whatever you want as your leader. I mean, obviously Red Skull's decent, but I don't know that he's required. You don't even really need to play Cabal, but I mean those are just 2 Cabal affiliated models.
Still a side note. I was actually staring at Ultron the other day, specifically for Convocation, because I thought it'd be cheeky. I don't know.
Convocation.
Well, the reason.
Stop it.
The reason,
Stop it.
Because Convocation.
Parker.
Eh,
Stop it.
eh,
Yeah, I know.
it's a thing.
I guess we could explain to the audience. You can play the books and make every attack against him mystic. And it was his wilds count as 2?
Yes, wild count is 2 in defense.
Yeah. He's only like a 3 mystic too. Like it doesn't even make
No,
sense.
he's a 4
does
mystic.
it?
He's a 4.
Is he a 4 mystic? Okay, sure.
So basically, it is just cheeky. It's nothing.
It's so stupid.
It's
so
not.
stupid.
It's not good.
He's still weak to energy.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing. He's already weak to, and it's like Crossbones can use his mystic. Like who cares?
Yeah.
Like nobody cares. Yeah, I think my go-to for a while is going to be Black Swan for the summon, and then potentially 4-pointers. I think 4-pointers might end up being the way to go because they impact the game on such a larger scale when they first drop in.
I wonder if Sabretooth would be any good. Interesting. He get no mercy.
I don't think
immediately.
Sabretooth coming in later would be any good. I think he'd be good in the starting list because
Yeah.
he's got healing factor to eat the early damage, and he's a model that has that don't attack me vibe. The same with Ultron and Wolverine. It's like you just feel like every time you hit them, you're getting punished. Venom for that note as well. He's got a big health pool and potential healing. But honestly, you would probably end up looking at Supergiant pretty soon because she can Psychic Vampire her health back.
Mhm.
And she's cheap.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's probably enough talking about your dumb list. What do you think, Jeremy? Are we done with this?
Yes,
Jeremy.
I'm done listening to Parker's dumb list.
That's fair. Jeremy, did you hear that Bruce Lee had a vegetarian brother named Brock Lee? What's wrong?
You caught him when he was sleeping. That's why he wasn't ready for that.
Oh, I was ready.
Oh,
I didn't know how long it took him. He was so stone-faced in anger that I don't know how long it took him to get it. So I had to Brock Lee?
Oh, I got it.
That was a good one. I liked that one. That one made me chuckle a bit. All
Boy.
right. Moving on, our next segment's going to be from the forums. I have scoured the forums for some random questions that I've decided to read on air.
Perfect. Let's do it.
I'm so sorry.
This is like
Some-
the scene in
Some of these are not good.
this is like in Billy Madison at the end where he
Yeah.
reads all the questions. Like, we are now all stupider for having heard this.
You are awarded 0 points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Exactly.
All right. So the first one was actually confirming that the Black Order new leadership card does in fact take one of the 5 tactic slots in your squad. So our second one up today is someone actually found a misprint on Ronin's card that apparently everyone has missed for a long time, or at least most people have. The weird misprint is that on the front side of Ronin's card, his Judgment Power says, when this character or an allied character within range 3 of it is damaged by an enemy effect, space, after the effect is resolved, you may use the superpower, and then it applies Judgment. On his injured side, they missed the after this effect is resolved part. So it just says, if you are damaged by an enemy effect, space, you may use the superpower. So it implies that the Judgment actually applies before they deal damage, which isn't super relevant, it's just a weird interaction. So that's been clarified that is going to get corrected in the future, and that it's just a misprint. It should be on his... The correct wording is the one on his healthy side. Moving on, this is a question that Aaron, one of our locals, had the other day. It is about the Nick Fury Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. superpower. Does Nick Fury get the power from the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents dealing damage or receiving damage only while they're within range 3 of him, or is it board wide and that they only get the reroll if they're within range 3? And the clarification is both parts require range 3. So he doesn't gain or gain power for them dealing or taking damage unless they are within range 3 of him. So that's kind of a punishment for people spreading out and doing the repositioning thing to the grunts. Next up is, I think this has been clarified before, but I don't think we've done it on the show. Doctor Strange number 1 with Shield of the Seraphim. If he is benefiting from cover and modifies one of his dice to a shield, does he still gain the power? Because the wording on the ability, I believe, says if he rolls a block. And it's been clarified he does gain the power as long as the final result is a block. Because it is still a rolled die that resulted in a block. It's just after dice mods. Next up, there's just a small clarification on wording. The lifesaver on Ghost Spider. It's kind of ambiguous at the start of the rule. Basically, the person was asking, it's because it's ambiguous. Here, I'll just read the exact wording and you'll see why it's slightly ambiguous. When an enemy character targets another allied character with an attack within this character's line of sight and range 4, you may use the superpower. They believe that you were supposed to be having line of sight and range 4 to the attacking character, but most people have played this that it is the defending character that needs to be within range 4 and line of sight. So that's been clarified. Not the attacking character, only the defender. This one is Jeremy's favorite because it involves beam attacks, which is everyone's favorite. Can Crystal use Elemental Onslaught in the middle of a beam attack or an area attack? For example, Crystal declares a Volcanic Surge attack that targets 3 enemy characters. After the first attack is resolved, she pays the power for Elemental Onslaught and chooses to make an Earthshaker attack. What happens? Do you resolve the original Volcanic Surge attacks, or do you start resolving the Earthshaker attacks before finishing the Volcanic Surge attacks? The answer is you do the new attacks from Earthshaker before you do the last 2 attacks from Volcanic Surge, which is very weird, but makes sense in timing.
You can't counter a counter spell unless you counter your counter spell with a counter.
What if you fork the counter, though? Shit. I play, what the fuck is that card? God damn it. Oh, no, why am I drawing a blank? Is it Shahrazad?
That is a card. That is a card.
Is that the one that starts another game?
Yes!
Yes! That's what I thought it was. Shahrazad is a magic card. It's like a sorcery. You play it, you pause this game, take what's left of your deck, move over a space, and start playing an additional game of Magic. And then, based on the outcome of that game, an effect happens in the real game, and then you pick up what you have left of your deck after that game and slide back over and continue playing the first game. And all of those other cards are removed from the game. So...
Brilliant.
What people would do, the reason this card has been banned, is you will cast like Shahrazad. All right, I cast Shahrazad. On the stack, fork. And so you start like 8 games of Magic at the same time using the same decks, and it was just a complete fucking disaster.
Basically, if you just wanted to ruin someone's
that card
day,
got banned. That card got banned real fast. It was tournament legal for a while.
Oh,
God
so
bless
just like, I want to run
old-timey
this tournament,
Magic.
guys. Let's do it.
Yeah. It's like, well, it said we got 55 minutes for like a best of 3. We're playing a best of 14 though. So like, what do we do now? Oh my god. All right, next question. We have sacrifice and invisibility cloak interaction. Invisibility cloak on Hood. If I don't really understand this question, but I'm going to read it anyway. When a attack targeting an allied character is redirected to Hood via the sacrifice card, can he pay to use invisibility cloak? I think the main reason for this question is because invisibility cloak lets him use his mystic defense and count blanks. And sacrifice says you cannot mod or add dice to your defense pool.
But you're not adding dice or modding.
Because you're not adding dice because you're responding to being targeted and you're changing your defense. And you don't create defense pools until after you've already chosen the damage type. And so before he ever creates his defense pool, which would be on like physical or energy to 2, you're starting with mystics. So you started with 3 dice. You're not adding dice to it, is the clarification. And as clarified here, blanks are not dice mods. Counting an additional dice space is not modding the dice. They're just now successful instead of failures.
Mm-hmm.
And then last one for today, the Montesi books mission, where you can pick up the books and you can do an energy beam attack once per turn. Because we now have parent characters and grunts, there's now a possible situation where 2 characters activate in the same turn, use the same book, and can potentially beam multiple times. So this had to be clarified. The interaction is you start with, let's say, a Daredevil and a Hand Ninja. The Hand Ninja starts with the book, performs a move action and then a beam attack with the book, then uses the Ninja Vanish to KO itself, drops the book. Daredevil moves on top of the book, picks it up, and performs another beam attack with it. And so potentially allowing the book to be used twice in one turn. But the limitation has been clarified to only affect each individual character, not the book. And so as long as the attack's being performed by different characters, there's no limit to the amount of times that beam attack can be made in a turn, even though it's from the same objective token. All right, and that is from the forums.
You did it. Well done.
Hashtag thought crimes. Alrighty. Parker, I believe you have a story to tell us. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got a comic corner. So I've been staring at Captain America a lot recently. And
you don't say.
Yep. And he's a big fan of mine, and I'm a big fan of his. And so I decided to showcase one of my favorite Captain America comics ever. It's actually a 2-parter if you want to buy the graphic novels, because I think there's like something like 12 issues individually in it. It's called Captain America. It's part of his original run in 2000 and I'm trying to find where the print is in here. 2012 and 2013. But this series is called Castaway in Dimension Z. So it was written by Rick Remender. It was something I haven't read a lot of his stuff, but I really like what he did with this. And it's penciled by John Romita Jr., which if you guys are fans of this podcast, you would know I am very far up this guy's butt. Every single thing he does, I want to just look at. My eyes just pour over every line that he creates. I love John Romita Jr. But this is a really, really good story if you like Captain America. The premise is super sci-fi and not Winter Soldier-esque. So if you wanted a spy thriller, that's not this. But if you wanted to learn more about who he is as like a core character, Rick Remender does a really good job of simultaneously exploring Steve's past, like ancient past, like when he was a child, and how it is that it affects his like fighting spirit. Because you talk about his indomitable fighting spirit, his desire to do good no matter what. And do the right thing. Like, where does he get that from? So while you're exploring like the birth of his conscience as a child, you're also part of the main story. The main story is that Cap and Sharon Carter are investigating like a routine kind of thing they think is going on, some super spy thing. And as it turns out, it's a trap. Arnim Zola has trapped Cap into a dimensional travel device and sucked him into a dimension that Zola has occupied solely, and he calls it Dimension Z after himself because he's a megalomaniac. And so he needs Captain America's genetic code to make super soldiers. That's what he wants to try to do. But before he can complete the process, Cap breaks out of his mad science lab, and Zolam thinks that Cap has killed his own clone. Arnim Zola made a clone of himself that he was going to raise as his child, but he thinks Cap killed him, but he didn't. Cap actually saved him as a baby. So Cap goes on the run in Dimension Z and actually gets stuck there for years. So he's living like in this otherworldly dimension while raising this young boy to be an excellent person, despite who his biological father is. And it's about them surviving in Dimension Z and trying to get back. So super interesting, story that spans years in this terrible place run by Arnim Zola that he has to survive in, and how he and his adopted son live and grow together. And of course, like I said, at the same time, we're constantly getting flashbacks to Steve's youth and how it is that his willingness to never say die, to always do the right thing, to persevere. Where does he get that from? Because it's not just the super soldier serum, it's him too. So there's 2 graphic novels that tell the story, and it's a fantastic ending. Bunch of really new cool characters are introduced, and a couple of them stick with the Marvel Universe and they're still around. So if you want to get a really good Captain America book, I think, in my opinion, I've read a lot of Cap stuff. This is the best Captain America that was ever done, by Rick Remender and drawn by the incomparable John Romita Jr. And Captain America, Castaway, and Dimension Z. Super good stuff.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys had a good time. This has been Brandon.
And Dr. Amanda Stabalkin, MD.
Jeremy. Thanos is fair and balanced.
And this has been the infamous Super Giant episode.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We did it.
Man, that was long.
Yeah.
So
in the can. Yeah.
Forever.
Now we're gonna have a short episode, and you guys are gonna look like dumbasses.
Well,
nope. That is not going to happen.
Never.
Nope.
We're going till 4 a.m. It's the only way.
That is the way.
You're charged. You have to
Hey,
release it
hey.
all.
Speaking of the way, guess what way it is
God.
again, Brandon? It's the summertime. Summertime. Peyton and Brandon's.
The time when you're like, hey, I'm going to totally make all these promises about doing stuff and then follow through on none of it.
None.
Well, no,
None.
the
Zero.
one thing I can
follow through.
the one thing I can expect on Summertimes is Sundays and painting.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
Doubt it.
This Sunday I cannot. You're right.
I swear to God, you're. Oh my God. I have a friend. I play golf. I try to play golf, but my friends are always hurt or my dad is damaged, so nobody's able to play. My friend was like,
too busy ruining a whole ass fucking hog.
pretty much. He's done with all that now.
Oh,
Anyway, my friend, he's like, dude, finally, I've got a bunch of free time. I can play anytime. Thank God. It's, we can play anytime. I go, cool. Well, I'm off this Saturday. I go, I'm off this Saturday. Cool, we'll play, right? And he's like, anytime but this Saturday. I've got something going on. I'm like, I'm going to kill you. I'm so fucking mad.
Yeah, I'm slowly starting to feel what being like not completely drowned in stuff to do is like, but it's like I see light at the end of the tunnel, and then shit like collapses and blocks it off again. It's pretty cool.
Gotcha.
We're now at the point where like all of that like hopeful wanna do shit that we put on like the back end of the list is starting to like get to the front of the line. We're like, shit, now we gotta do all this like fancy stuff that's like not immediately essential.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I've got Nightmare at Work scenario again. 2 cooks gone for the entirety of June, and somehow I'm supposed to cover that.
Mm.
This time I find it funny. Before I found it insane. This time I'm just like, I'm not sure. Like, I just stare at everybody with the, I'm not sure what you want me to do about it look. Like, I'm like, I don't know what you want from me.
It's like that, the construction worker who's like just seen too much shit, and it's like the whole building's leaning. He's like, "Yeah, we'll see what happens." Like,
Yep.
like you're not worried. You're like not panicked. You're
Mm-mm.
like, "No, well, something's gonna happen, and it's gonna be funny."
Yeah. Like, I guess one day I just, I guess y'all need to figure out how to cook. I don't want to tell you.
Yeah. Call the site manager. Be like, "Yeah, do you know how to cook? We need you down here cooking."
Mm-hmm. The maintenance guy. Get him in there.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you barbecue.
I mean, how many days in a row can you have hot dogs?
Dude, unlimited.
Unlimited days in a row. We bought stock in Bar S, man. We're good to go.
My favorite would be like 2 months of that situation where it's just hot dogs and chips or whatever, and they have to do town halls with like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got some things to say about the food, okay? The variety sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like the complaints just start working their way up the channels, and they're like, "We've got to do something about this food situation."
Yeah. Whereas they
It's
give
like,
me crap.
You just make it their problem in a roundabout way.
Oh my god. Yeah, they give
I
me
have got a line of people outside my fucking like office door every day holding just cold hot dogs, yelling at me. Like, what are you doing?
Yep. There just comes a point where you don't even cook them anymore. You just like,
You just like put them on the like put them in little like foam
Yep.
containers. Like,
Everybody
here's
just-
some cold
yeah.
hot dogs.
everybody gets like a pack of 6 hot dogs, like the ones you get at Hy-Vee. It's not even good hot dogs.
Just suck them down.
It's like those bar, what are they called? Like bar or something, or like,
Bar S.
Oh,
That's why
yeah.
I made that joke.
there you go. Yeah, like complete garbage hot dogs.
Yeah, the real mystery meat style stuff.
It's made of all the things that
Yeah,
everything
it's like a
else
Vienna
isn't made
sausage,
of.
but larger.
Oh, mercy. So dumb.
So, David said that he's supposed to be up at the store tomorrow. That's going to be interesting.
Which one is a David?
He's the one that plays the My Hero game with me, and he played X-Wing for a while with Parker.
Oh,
He briefly bought into Marvel and then like abandoned ship hardcore, and because he said time was the reason. And so I've yelled at him to the
Oh.
point where he knows he's supposed to show up tomorrow. So we'll see.
he knows he's supposed to. That's
He
funny.
better. I'm just gonna ban him from the store. If not, where's he gonna play all of his games?
It's true. That's tough. That's too bad, but you have to. You know.
Yeah, it's the only way. Jason told me he's gonna be at the store tomorrow.
You're a goddamn liar.
I know. Well, I'm not saying he's going to be there. I'm saying he said he was going
Uh-huh.
to be there.
Right.
Just it's a very important distinction.
I will
It's like
continue.
Parker promised something. Like it means nothing, but it was said.
I swear I will not die.
Just promised me one thing: I'll never ever die.
I swear I will never
I'll
die.
have sex. I'll have sex with you if you'll never die.
If you promise me
will
one thing.
never
What's
die.
that? That you'll never ever die.
It's just
I promise.
it's just too hard to watch you die.
I love it.
It's the full committal. Like he waited 2 solid seconds. He's like,
Yep.
I promise.
Dead,
What?
like dead stared right in her eyes.
Written in stone for
Yep.
eternity. I promise.
I swear I will never die. And the
Mm-hmm.
next second, they're like fucking like banshees. Like it's crazy. It's so good.
Well, mannequins.
Mannequins, yes.
Yeah, the marionettes rather. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. So I looked up scheduling a invitational qualifier for our
Mhm.
store. I'm looking at probably the first weekend of September.
hmm
Is there any reason I cannot do that?
First weekend of September for the what?
For the LVO invitational event at the Geekery. I'm going to apply probably tomorrow.
I can't see why it'd be an issue.
I don't see any like major holidays or anything. Oh, it's the
I mean,
Labor
it's
Day
probably
weekend. Oh,
Probably a Chiefs
yeah,
game.
that's a Labor Day weekend. I probably won't go. Labor Day weekend is always some bullshit.
Well, I'm giving you like 3 months to make sure that there is no bullshit. That's what I'm telling you.
I guess if that is the weekend you can do it, then I think you'll lose people because people do shit on Labor Day weekend. I might be one. Depends on what kind of bullshit it is.
Isn't Labor Day like one of those like free weekend holidays where like you just have like a free day off?
No,
Day
it's where
off.
your family takes everyone to Six Flags.
Right. It's when
Like,
it's
you just
whenever-
do- yeah.
September?
Right. That's what
Yeah.
that's what always happens. I can guarantee you I'll be some bullshit. There'll be some bullshit with family and they'll pull the family card. That's what happened every Labor Day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a 3-day weekend where all family has it off, so you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Kind of like this weekend. This weekend's like that too.
Yes.
They're
That's-
almost identical.
that's-
Like I have to always ask everybody which one's for the dead people and which one's for the live people.
hmm
It's pretty
Like you-
obvious, but I cook, so I don't really pay attention.
Like yeah, like I really want to paint this weekend. Nope. It's Labor Day weekend. I'm going to be in Salina, or it's Memorial Day weekend this weekend. But I can guarantee you, it'll be some bullshit. And that's exactly what it is.
Hmm.
Everybody in the family has that day off, so that's when they always plan the thing.
It's always the worst. Family reunion. I ain't going. Nope.
Well, if we don't do it that weekend, we run into some negatives. First of all, we have to give them 3 months' notice, which is why it has to be at least as far out as September 3rd. We go later than that, we start getting into like actual Chief season territory for one, and not just like early game stuff. Speaking of, I really wanted to check what the Chief schedule is before I set this, because obviously if I'm going to be at a Chiefs game, that's going to be problematic. But
It's kind of weird.
Pro-
The Chief schedules this year
ideally
is
going to
weird
be on a Saturday. Yeah,
because there's actually like Thursday games.
there's Thursday games every year. They're just sometimes they're out of town, sometimes they're in town. Yeah, the first game isn't until September 11th, surprisingly. So that's the other thing, is I was a little worried if we did it any later, we'd be bumping upside Recruits, which is our local event, but I'm pretty sure that's dead now. I don't think anybody's doing that anymore.
Yeah. Last I heard, it's not even at the school, like, or something like.
No, yeah, that's what I heard, is it's like dead. I heard they did like a virtual one last year, but that was like the last thing they were gonna do.
Good
Once
old
you lose the
COVID.
momentum on something like that, it's really hard to get it back.
Mhm.
Like once people haven't done it in 4 years, it's like basically over. But anyway, the thing about what is the name of the website? I'll just click on it. I messaged Charles, and he gave me the link. lvois.com/mcp is what we're looking at.
Uh-huh.
We would be on the same weekend as Nova Open, but pretty much nobody coming to our event would also be going to Nova. So I don't think that'd be too big of a deal.
What are you thinking about? When are you thinking about then? September what? 10th?
September 3rd.
Oh, that Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. Because, let's see. Just looking up the specific restrictions on timing. Because I'm pretty sure he said that it had to be 3 months in advance, and it had to... Oh yeah, this looks like it. 3 months in advance, and you could run multiples as long as they were 3 months apart. You could potentially get approved for more than one.
I mean, he pretty much said on his podcast recently that it was just like, just apply, like, more the merrier kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I would not
Yeah.
do it on a holiday weekend. That does
You
seem
can
like
apply
a really
for
bad
more
idea.
than one as long as they're 90 days apart, and they all have to be finished by December 31st. So we have a couple weeks of wiggle room to potentially run two.
I say we do.
Because I would like to run two. So we could do one in December and one in September, ideally, if we get approved.
We'll do one December 25th.
And
One.
do the other one Labor Day.
And then do
The
the
other
other one
one, Labor
September
Day.
11th. Yeah.
September. I'll do Labor Day. Yeah,
September 11th and December 25th. What's the problem?
it's fine. Beat this system. Ooh, Bob's Burgers comes out this week.
I never watched that.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's a
I heard
great
good
show.
stuff.
Well,
It's like Archer, but funny.
I liked Archer. I didn't like all the like alternate timeline stuff they did. That kind of made me lose interest.
Most people love Archer. It just, to me, after the first season, it just felt like more of the first season. Just kind of like, I don't know.
I think all of the seasons up until like Archer goes into the coma were all great.
Yeah.
And I think the first season when he came out, if I recall, that was my favorite season in a long time. But like the the like gimmicky, like, okay, we're doing like Smokey and the Bandit season. You're like, okay, well that was kind of cute for a few episodes, or like the Treasure Island one. It's like, yeah, but now I don't care anymore. Like I'm not connected to these characters at all, and so it just like it just felt like filler. I don't know, it was weird. But yeah, I definitely think that Archer did not have the staying power of some other good shows. It was mostly, it's my version of Family Guy. So it's just like, I'm here for outrageous, silly jokes and repetitive humor, and that's the only reason I'm watching the show, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's no Rick and Morty, where like Rick and Morty is awesome all the time.
Well, Rick and Morty's so
and
fast-paced. Yeah, and it's such smart humor.
Venture Brothers.
Yeah, Venture Brothers is another good example.
Bob's Burgers is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sad that Venture Brothers is like officially over now. Maybe that's changed. Let's see. Maybe. Apparently they teased that the show might come back in a different form, like a long form special, like a movie. Anyway, I'll look more into that later.
Do we pick a main topic today, or is this a surprise
Nope.
Brandon one?
Don't need no topics, although I do like topics.
I will say I've made a commitment.
Oh.
Yeah, I've made a commitment, and I will uphold it. I will no longer talk about Thanos. I'm done. I'm done.
What's your commitment?
I'm not going to
not talk about Thanos.
I'm not going to talk about negativity and Thanos with that. I'm done with it. Everybody can do their own thing.
Can I just pick up where you left off and be even more negative?
Oh, you can. You can do whatever you want. I don't care.
Okay.
But I've made my peace with it, and I want to enjoy the game, and I'll just, that's fine. It is what it is.
Hold on, what?
He's tired about complaining about Thanos. He's claiming he said his piece and he's done. So he's just gonna not complain about it anymore.
Yep.
Seeing if I can find any more random spoilers on the Asmodee website. There is a Marvel novel coming out from Asmodee called School of X: The Siege of X-41. And all the Black Order stuff, and the card pack comes out June 10th, it looks like. I guess that's kind of news-ish, but I think we were all expecting that. Dude, we're only like a week away from getting all the news.
Mm-hmm.
All the news. We should actually probably start looking at the event schedule so we can see when we want to watch TV. Is there anything you guys want to specifically talk about today?
Not necessarily. I just wonder. I wonder why Black Order got its little new cards the way they are. It's kind of weird.
What do you mean?
Well, I figure we're going to talk about that when we get to it, right?
Yeah.
You're asking why they got the Tactics cards they did?
Yeah.
Okay. We can talk about that later. We have a lot of news to talk about compared to a normal day of recent, but we can start our ranking of point characters by point cost. Let's do this. I have some homework for next week. Can you guys do that?
Homework for next week?
What's up?
Yeah. Next week, let's do best character combos. So each person try and come up with 3 different character combos you like.
Okay.
Combo of 2 characters not involving a leadership bonus. That like 2 models work together really well.
Okay. Not involving a leadership bonus. Interesting.
Not involving, because that's more of an like Thanos and Cap go together
Right.
because of the leadership bonus, but like that's not really what we're talking about. That's just Thanos in Avengers.
Got it.
For example.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yar.
Narp.
Parker, do you have a comic corner?
I could sure shit make one. Let's see what I got.
Get one with Supergiant.
I've already done all the comics I have with Supergiant.
Oh.
That's
Just
actually
do it
one of the
again,
things that I...
Nobody will notice. I'm just kidding.
Okay, let me find one that I haven't done yet.
All right. All right, I'm gonna grab a drink refresh while he's doing that. Be right back.
Okay. I just realized none of the. I'm gonna have this, but not one of these characters is in this game. That's a really dumb one to pick.
Back. Hey, are you watching wrestling?
No.
I can hear the wrestling in the background.
No.
Hey, I watched Suicide Squad.
The new one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was okay.
I think it was fun. It's a fun movie.
I expected Peacemaker to be funnier than he was, with everyone raving about Peacemaker, and I was like, oh, maybe that's why. And he's like very forgettable in the movie. It was like basically the two quotes he had from the fucking trailer, and that was it.
He's much funnier in his own show. His show is pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert, he fucking dies in the movie, so I don't know why he has his own show. Doesn't make sense chronologically.
Well, there's reasons.
I think the random black guy they put in the movie stole the show. Of course, every time they do that, it's the only good actor in the entire fucking movie.
Yeah.
So, do we ever come up with a main topic?
Yeah, we're just going to talk about DC movies.
Yeah.
And that was the last episode we ever had.
Yeah.
I think we can get by without. I think news is enough. You don't think so? Here we go. We run out of time. We'll start by doing our model rankings.
I actually have.
We'll start.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. If you have a topic, feel free.
Oh, I thought one is okay. One of the things I've been looking at recently is in preparation for the imminent restriction of Tactics cards. Field dressing and Medpack are no longer strapped to every single one of my lists, and so now I'm wondering what are those two cards going to be in my list now? Because
so you're preparing for the hypothetical banning of those cards?
Yeah, or rather the restriction of them for a while, right? They fade out for some season or whatever it is.
Okay.
So I was wondering if you guys had two cards. You're like, well, yes, but here are the next two cards that are good. Like we could go that direction with it. Like, what are the two cards that are not field dressing and Medpack, which you want in every list?
Well, I would say Patch Up immediately makes everybody as a replacement for Medpack.
But
yeah, we could.
But that's the thing is, I don't know if that works in every list. Does it? Maybe
it's certainly less good. But I mean, I played Patch Up for a while after Medpack came out.
So this is something I'd like to explore because I never played in the Patch Up days, right? I only played the Medpack days, and it looks so much more restricted. So that's something I was wondering about. Is looking at that.
Okay, I'll throw it in here, and assuming that we have time, we'll talk about this.
I was gonna find that list of cards that are in the reprint pack, because those are the ones that are likely going to be the ones we'll get, so we know if there's one. Where is that? Is that in general or is that in news?
I believe it is in news.
It's a ways.
Maybe not. Definitely was after all this shit, so I guess it didn't make the news. I guess it's just a normal chat. Oh no, it's in here. I clipped it. It's the blue one.
It's on CP159 Atomic Mass Games. That's not it, is it?
No. It's right above the silhouette of the Asgardians. It's pretty recent.
Okay. Up there it is. Yep. Okay, cool. Got it.
I had always assumed if they were going to do a Tactics card cycling that the gems would go with them, because that's something that's not really forwards compatible. There's very few models that are going to be released after the first 40 that are going to be gem wielders.
So you thought they would make gems? They would take them out of a rotation,
right? Because that's kind of like a power level discrepancy for design. Well, if some of these older random models like Thanos and Loki and whoever can wield gems, and of course at the time they were optional.
Yeah.
So like you could add them plus or minus at squad creation, so it was a different time, you understand.
Yeah. Also, they just printed a bunch more bottles to use them in
Right.
the game. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not been as big of an issue as I expected. All right, well, let's get this thing rolling. You guys good?
Oh yeah. Ugh. I am
So good.
I'm hard. Let's do it.
Oh god.
Like a diamond in an ice storm.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna sidebar here because if I try and remember this story later,
So
it's
hard.
not gonna work. So Parker, have you watched any of the My Hero show?
I've watched I watch all shows, which is lots
You
of
just
clips.
watch random clips.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremy, did you watch? You watched like the first episode, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
So you don't know who the Harden guy and the Steel guy are, right?
No.
Okay. Well, in the show, there's this one of the characters' ability is he makes his body hard like rock, and another guy's ability is he coats his body in like a living steel. So it's basically the Thing and Colossus, right? Are their two powers? They're very redundant, and they make fun of the fact that they basically have the same superpower in the show constantly. They also have very similar personalities. And so in the second season of the show, they have a duel match where they have to fight each other as part of like this contest. And the match goes on for like an hour and a half while they just beat the shit out of each other because neither one can hurt the other person. And so eventually the match ends in a draw. And so Dave, the guy we were talking about coming up to the game store, and I were playing My Hero, and he had just put together his Tetsu deck, which is the guy who turns himself into steel. And he was like, I want to test this against something. So as a joke, I grabbed my hardening guy one, who's the guy who turns himself into rock.
Mhm.
And because all of his attacks are called like harden this, harden that, and he has a foundation, like a power up card called Harden, because the name of his superpower is Harden.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm playing against him, and by all like standard logic, he should be winning. But he's just thrown the deck together and hasn't fine tuned it yet, and my deck's got a little bit more fine tuning. And so I am very ahead in the game at this point, and I have all of my Hardens in my deck in play. And so every time he asks me a question, I'm like, I'm so hard right now. he's like, fucking stop it. He got so frustrated.
Oh my
He's
god.
like, because every time he did it, he's like, Harden. Like, shut up. It was very funny. Anyway, I thought it was very amusing. Anybody who watches the My Hero Academia show might find that amusing. So here we go. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm. So hard right now. Yeah?
I finally watched all of Ozark. I liked it. It was good. I mean, I've always liked it. I will say, though, this season, like, I thought episode 5 was going to be the season finale. And then just, like, every episode was like, yeah, this could be the finale. Like, everything was fucking piling up on them. I was like, damn, when is this going to be over? Like, every episode was, like, had as much stuff as you
Well, everything, too. And, like, every episode was like
that.
Yep, that's the worst thing that could happen. And then the next episode happens, and you're like, nope, that's definitely worse.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like off the rails shit. It was just like, yeah, I could see this being like the big hook, and it's like, no, that wasn't it.
I thought,
like, no, this is the big.
I feel
no,
like it
that's not
ended
it.
properly.
Like, just shit
Like, I
kept
felt
happening.
it was okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Parker, did you ever watch Ozark? You should give it a try. It's
I
pretty
have
good.
a really hard.
It is a little slow. It's
I have
it's
a really
about
hard
as
time getting
slow
to
as I can
every-
watch, but the
and
characters
I
are
know
really
this
good.
is not a direct analogy, but Breaking Bad, Sopranos esque, where it's like about a family of normal or not so normal people doing, something illicit. I know it's a really popular thing, and it's not done badly. I know it's not done badly. I just not a giant fan.
That's okay. I had a title for the episode earlier. I just can't remember what it is. Oh, I know.
Dun dun dun.
Get it? Because it's like super long.
I get it.
And also giant.
The most giant.
How
Also,
hard?
Thanos is fine.
How hard did that make you? Hard?
I'm like, I'm so hard.
Super hard.
I wish Dave listened to this. He would get a kick out of that.
So hard.
All right, so if Dave and Jason show up tomorrow, we're all gonna like leave and hide because the meteor's coming, right?
Something's up. I actually played a pretty cool list. I forgot about that last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You did?
By
Yep.
cool, you mean you played Thanos and won some games?
Nope. I did not play. I took him out. I took Thanos out.
Took him out. Took him
He
out.
needs to rest. He needs rest. Everybody else is playing him. He does not need to be played by me. I did skulls. Everybody gets skulls. It's it was Dark Dimension with all the dudes who benefit with skull rolls. So
All the dice.
yeah, it was
Scarlet
Witch.
Domino.
Yup, Magic,
Oh, yeah, I
and
forgot about Magic.
what else was it? Scarlet Witch, Domino, Magic.
I heard you had a conversation with
11,
Aaron
19.
about he who shall not be named.
Yeah, and that's what took me to the next level of like, I think I'm pooping on.
I'm so
I think
done with it.
Yeah, I'm done with it, and I don't want to drag a negative vibe into the game because I'm very sour about it. So I'm leaving it there. Anyway, the list, it did really well, but I got to tell you, if you haven't played against Shield very much, it'll break your fucking brain. Like their ability.
I'm really worried about grunts in general. I actually haven't played a game against grunts yet, but it feels every game I see them, it just feels like the tempo is just so out of scale. Like it feels like all the grunt characters just swing the games pretty hard.
So what was getting me and locking my brain up completely was between grunts, Eye in the Sky, and She-Hulk. Like you can't do a thing without things happening to you, bad things. So like if Fury has 3 power on him, you just stare at the board. You're like, what do I do? It was quite tricky. And I mean, he ended up getting me, but it was all about maneuverability. I mean, he was really able to get his models around the board all over the place, and it was very difficult to control. But I mean, I don't have control other than murder in that list, so it's a little bit different. It was fun, but Shield's pretty cool. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff going on for it, things that I just wouldn't have thought of.
But how many gadget tokens did your opponent have?
I think he had 27 gadget tokens.
Oh, okay.
He actually just had 1 gadget token on She-Hulk and was able to remove Incinerate, which made me want to flip. I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I was like, mother.
Really? That little thing? Interesting.
It took me forever to get it on her. It was not
Yeah,
easy.
that's fair. I'm still excited to play my list. I got to play it against Josh, but I mean, that was a frustrating game. We played Gamma. We played 20 points.
20 points against X-Men is a bitch. They get all the toys.
Yeah, well, the problem was, like, I played the board control list, and his counter control was really strong, because you just use Storm to undo whatever I did. And so that was harsh, but it was mostly just, like, I hate to blame Dice, but I think I did my best to play out of a bad situation, but man, Honey Badger blocked more than Hulkbuster did, and I think she did more damage. Like, it was just silly. X-23 got to make 1 attack the entire game.
Well, that was good.
Yeah. And so I felt like I was doing a really good job. Juggernaut made 2 attacks, I think. But yeah, like, it was just like every time I turned around, I was just getting walloped with damage. And it's just like, oh man.
What were you playing?
So I had
Your big bruiser guys again?
Thanos, Hulkbuster, Proxima, and Gwen. And I set a lot of traps for him, and he saw a couple of them coming. I think he missed 1 or 2. But it was mostly just I couldn't deal damage. Like Hulkbuster, I think Hulkbuster made, we played to the end of 6. I think he made 12 attacks. Like every action he took was either a free move or an attack action. And I dazed 2 of his characters the entire game. Thanos made a lot of attacks for Thanos. Normally he doesn't make nearly as many. Proxima did not a lot because she held the objective most of the game. But like I was putting dice into him. I was doing Death Decree. I just could not deal damage. Man, I think Honey Badger blocked 2 on 8 different attacks, and I just couldn't get damage through. She never fell down the entire game. It was just brutal. And so like he wasn't even rolling that crazy. Like he had some good dice, but it was like I was like 30% below average, he was 30% above average, and we just ground on each other for 6 turns and nobody died. until eventually on the end of 6 he killed Ghost Spider and Proxima. But Proxima really died because I decided that it was time for her to die because she had to kill somebody. And so she went in and did like the 9 dice pierce attack into Iron Man. It was the only way I dazed him. It was freaking crazy. But yeah, it was just a super frustrating game. Every time I felt like I unwrapped a puzzle, I just got punished. And it was just like, it was super frustrating. I medpacked and field dressed Hulkbuster, and it almost swung the game, but it just wasn't enough. And then I think on the 6th turn, I probably could have done a lot better, but I was mentally checked out. I was so done with that game. After the 5th turn went so against me, I was just really frustrated.
Yeah, you looked really exhausted emotionally for that game.
I think that was really all of it. I was just out of energy. I was done. Like I was sitting there and it was like, I don't think I had eaten in a while maybe, but I like got to the end of the game and I was like, I need to sit down. Like I cannot stand here anymore. And part of it was like I kept getting interrupted like in and out of the game too, because obviously I'm working. So, but yeah, it was just a frustrating game. But I actually kind of liked the way the list worked. Like it did everything I wanted. Proxima is in there because it's got all the Black Order members, but I definitely found the flaw in my list. I have Black Panther in there because I didn't know who else to add, and it's supposed to be Shuri, 100%, because Proxima was the linchpin in that list. She broke it open and didn't let anything else work, because I had no other 3-pointers to include, and she did nothing for the list. She just stood there. And because she ended up with the objective, and her only ranged attack makes her place within range 1, she basically just took free damage every turn, and I couldn't do anything about it. And so, like, if I had just found it on Gwen instead, it would have been fine. But no, Proxima found it on a random check the objective, and it was just downhill from there. But I did catch him. He kept trying to run at me because she seems really out there and in the open, but he comes at her with Juggernaut. She gets lifesavered away. And then, or no, he didn't go in with Juggernaut first. He went in with, I think it was Storm. Like, Storm walked up and shot her, dragged her out of range. Then he was getting ready to come in with Juggernaut, and she gets, like, Cosmic Portal Space Stoned away. And so then it's just like, she's fucking gone, right? And so it's really hard for you to do anything about it. But then she took, because I had to get lifesavered in an awkward direction, she ended up taking damage from Gamma and damage from the alien ship power core. And so she's taking basically 2 damage a turn to stay out of attack range, because Juggernaut can get her almost anywhere. And so for me to not put her in attack range of Juggernaut, she has to be fucking on the other side of the planet. There was actually one turn where I Cosmic Portaled her, Space Stoned her, and Climbing Geared her away from Juggernaut to get her out of range. And then on her turn, she moved long back into range of Gamma, so she didn't die. Like, that was the only way she survived the turn, is I had to wait for Juggernaut to go before she could re-enter the battlefield. It was a very frustrating game, because it felt like every time I tried to do something, it was just like dragging dead weight around.
And Super
And I
Giants.
think if I had Supergiant or fucking Shuri, if I just had Shuri, it would have been fine. Because I really was missing, because Proxima does nothing. She does nothing for the list.
No.
Any 3-point model would have done what she did. Yeah, Shuri would have been way better. And so I know that about my list now. And we talked about it. I know I should have put her in, but I was like, oh, jokingly, well, when will I need 2 3-pointers? Oh, apparently at 20 points. It's 100% what I needed. Because the only other option was to play a 4 and a 2, which didn't work either, because I don't have a 4-pointer I want in that list. Like, Black Dwarf is fine if I'm playing Black Order, but he doesn't work in... So my only other option was... Fuck, who was my 2-pointer? It was Toad and Black Panther instead of Ghost Spider and what should have been Shuri. Like, that's obviously better. But anyway, it was just a weird game.
Yeah, you mentioning your Hulkbuster and Iron Man. The first thing that happened in the game I played, Aaron moves up. I swear to God, his Iron Man has it out for me every game.
Yeah, I know, right?
He moves up, hits Dormammu for fucking 5 damage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what has just happened?
He's like energy 4, right?
It's energy 4. He paid the 2 because
6 versus 4.
Yeah. He got 5
Take
damage
5.
through. Yeah, take 5. And pushed me.
I don't feel bad for you, because there's been so many times you've done like that shit to me, and I'm like, what the fuck? I get so bad.
Oh, not with Iron
you.
Man. Iron Man's
Not
never
with Iron
done
Man,
anything
but like you do
to
that
me.
to me with like Ghost Rider all the time. Like when we were playing that, I was like, I'd have Magneto, I'd spend to get my 6 defense dice, I just like take 4 damage. I'm like, God damn it! Like it's 5 versus 6, man. I have cover.
Well, it's just a wild, like, that's one thing about the dice in this game. Like, you just never know, man. You just never know.
It really punishes the big guys because little guys, who cares? Like,
he didn't care. It didn't matter.
You one-shotted Bob, who cares, right? But when it's like Dormammu takes 5 and is out of position, like this swings the game. Like it's hugely impactful.
Take 5 and then push your large base short. I'm like, really? All that work?
Oof.
I'm like, holy crap, that cost me like
and
so much.
Insult to injury, you take damage from Gamma or something. You're like, fuck me. Like everything sucks.
It was bad.
No,
like,
yeah,
that
for
was
sure.
the start.
No, Dormammu is, I think, more of a dead weight in most games that I play. I've never had him make his points back in attrition. It's just a fun leadership. And I think that's fine. I don't think he needs to be super competitive because he's so fucking weird.
He is. He's a weirdo. I just like he's
silly and fun. Yeah,
it's a cool sculpt, and he uses skulls, so it's funny to it's funny to me and makes me laugh when I'm like, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 12 damage. You know, how many skulls did you roll?
I can't tell you. Those handful of games I was playing Sam, I was so relaxed. I did not give a shit what happened to my dice. Like whatever, like it'll be fine. Like I'll get there eventually. Like oh man, it was so relaxing. Like I get so stressed when I play big models because like Thanos will take 5 damage from fucking Honey Badger. I'm like, God damn it! Like
yeah, it's bad. Game? No, it's true. Absolutely, the Sam leadership and those models, they're all 3-pointers. Who cares? Yeah. Like they just kind of crawl around the board, like hang out. They swing when they can. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And there's so many opportunities for things to go your way that it just doesn't really matter. It's like, oh no, you dayed somebody. Well, I guess I'm moving back on this point. Like,
moving back, getting rid of Incinerate. Cool.
Yeah.
That's what I've really enjoyed about Daredevil also. You're just like, oh, that 4 dice roll didn't work out? Okay, I'll roll it again. Oh, that one didn't work out? I'll roll again. Oh, that one didn't work out? Oh, that didn't roll again. Oh, that one, I rolled 7 that time. It's like, okay.
You're just fishing for spikes.
Yeah. And it feels. Oh, and the best part is when you don't get anytime you're playing against somebody with like exceptional healing, you're just loving it because you're going to do 2 damage, 1 damage, 2 damage, 1 damage, 2 damage, 1 damage. Those are dazed. It's like
yeah.
It feels.
I remember when Punisher first came out, and I was like, dude, Rapfire's fucking busted.
Yeah.
Like I was like, there's no way this is fair.
I didn't see it until Domino. I mean,
yeah,
Domino's the heavy metal version, but
well, I remember. When we saw Punisher, we were like, man, this guy sucks. Like, he's really bad. And then we put him on the table, and we saw what Rapid Fire did. And we were
headshot.
Like, holy shit. Fuck 4 dice. 4 dice is the best attack in the game. Like
4 dice, 7 dice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I'll be up at the store tomorrow night. I got to cook, so it'll be a little later, but I'll be there.
Okay. Cool. I will be there, too.
I'll be there as far as I know. I don't think anything's stopping me.
Except some sort of Cassandra Nova fucking mess that you're working on. Probably need to stay at home a little bit longer on that one.
No, I'm putting it away.
For realsies, though, would you... We've always talked about this. I'm really curious if you guys would be up for it. Would you be up for a, what do you want to call it? A switcheroo tournament where you build a bad list and you bring it up and then you switch with your opponent and play a game? Would you guys be up for this?
No.
No, you don't want to do it?
No.
Oh, I think it'd be a fucking blast. I love using like what people think are bad models.
Well, and that's the thing that would make me upset. Is
you would actually lose to bad models. You'd be
yes,
pissed.
Shitty things would happen, and bad models would spike, and you'd still lose. But no,
but I mean, you're playing their bad models.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It would be worse than that.
I would rather play like I know it takes a lot longer, but I'd rather do like a draft format where I don't get all the models I want. That would be.
Draft is different though because you're trying to build something good, right? You're never trying to be bad. Like you're playing with limited options, but you're trying to prioritize value.
Right.
As where I think the best thing I love about the Bring a Bad List tournament is that you see what other people think is bad, because we always see what other people think is good, and then by absence we kind of see what they think is bad, but there's so many things that's not fully encompassing. When you're like, bring the worst list you can, well then you see like Ebony Maw Space Stone, or you see like Cassandra Nova and Phoenix in the same list, and you're like, yeah, it's bad, sure, but then you start playing and you're like, actually there's some fun synergies here that we've never seen happen before because these models are never on the board, especially together. And so you just run into like weird, like sure, you'll have the one guy brings all 5-pointers just so you can't build efficient point totals. But then at the same time, you're like, well, but is it that bad if you're down 2 points? If you've got 5-pointers? Like, well, maybe not against bad stuff. Like, who knows? It's just fun.
I would be excited if we started the tournament at 11 and we did a draft. I think that would be cool. And then play the tournament with the draft.
The draft is hard because of the logistics involved, but it's possible. Mostly because like somebody has to supply everything.
What I'd really like is a qualifier tournament not on. That's what I'd like.
December 24th.
No, even worse, December 26th.
I would just.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere.
It would just-
Well, it has to be done. I guess we could do December 26th.
It would just
theoretically.
grind my.
Oh,
It would grind.
guess
my
what the
gears.
Saturday is.
It would grind my gears so hard to find out that a big ass tournament's happening next door to my house, and I'm gonna be doing some terrible bullshit.
You're saying that you couldn't say tomorrow. It's like, hey, just so you know now, September 3rd, I'm committed to something. It's like you can't say that. Like you can't plan your own fucking weekend 3 months in advance. Like it's
No.
completely impossible. It's just if it lands on that day, it's on that day.
Because the problem is, it's not. It won't be. Let's all get together for a barbecue. It'll be like a baptism or something like that. It'll be
Yeah.
like my godchild or some nonsense.
No, there's a lot of that. That's a
That's
really
what it
bad
is.
weekend to have something like a tournament.
That's
Okay.
That's what they do.
All
with
right,
Labor
so
Day
let's
weekend.
look look at it real quick. I want to do this while you guys are on the line. LBOIS.com. Okay, so what if we did like September 17th?
I would not be able to go to that, but that's just because there's already.
You said you wanted a qualifier not on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I just want you to know that.
But the
if you pick-
17th is also not good?
Yeah, I'm already committed to something on the 17th.
What's on the 17th?
The KC Zoo runs on the 17th.
What's on the 10th? Why'd you skip that?
Yeah. Why
There's
skip the 10th?
what'd you say, Parker?
Why? Yes. Why did you skip the 10th?
There is an event it is in Las Vegas though. So
That's not going to interfere with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, but
so
if we're not doing the soonest possible, then I need a reason to double up on somebody. Like, there is no event on the 17th, so why would we do the 10th? And apparently there's a fucking park fun run that Parker's committed to 4 months in advance. Like,
It's
I
actually
didn't
like-
realize.
It's like 8 months in advance. But yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you, if you want to do it on the 17th, you go right ahead because I think lots of people will be able to come. I will not be able to come. But if you do it on the 3rd, I think you'll get a lot less people coming because of Labor Day. But if you
Okay, we could do either of these days. So you guys think the 10th?
yes, I think the 10th would work.
Yeah, the 10th works for me.
I think the 10th would work for most people. I think, unless it's some weird thing I don't know about.
Wait, that doesn't. I also have a fun run on the 10th.
I will just kill you and not let either of you fucking
I will-
come to my goddamn event.
Wait, when's
How's
your
that
fun
sound?
run? I'll go to your fun run if you come to mine, Parker.
Okay,
Because in fact, they are fun.
they are very fun.
They're very fun, and they also run. Fun runs.
Fucking hate you guys.
Well, here's actually okay. So if you don't want to do it, I decided to look up when this is. I guess when would you have to start it? Because it's going to be a bigger tournament. When are you starting it then?
I mean, we could start at noon. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Why?
No, I couldn't. So don't worry.
What are you talking about? You saying that the thing that you said you couldn't make it because of only lasts like 2 hours?
No, it lasts a lot longer than that. That's not possible. It starts in the morning, but there's no way to get out of there and back here in time. So
All right, so the 10th is good with both of you.
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
All right, I put a questionnaire in the general chat to see if everybody else is good with it, and as long as there's no major conflictions, I will plan on scheduling it on the 10th, which means 3 months later in December, we're gonna have to fucking try and schedule it in like the middle of December if we try and get 2.
Hopefully not during the December fun run.
Yeah, I bet.
There's a great December fun run.
I will be out there with a fucking bullwhip, fucking mushing your ass on in the goddamn snowy fun run.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go, motherfucker.
You guys keep saying fun run. I think it's funny.
It's just funny.
Okay.
It's fun.
It cannot be on December 24th for one reason.
Jesus.
There's a Chiefs game that day.
Oh my God. Is it a home game?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter because I'll be watching it.
Why don't you do December 10th?
It starts at noon. Conveniently, the Chiefs game starts at noon.
On December 10th?
No, on the 24th.
Oh.
It is at Arrowhead.
So are you said it has to be 3 months away, right? 3 months apart?
Yeah, 90 days apart.
So wouldn't December 10th work?
I didn't say it wouldn't. I said there was one day in December that doesn't
That
work,
doesn't
and
work.
it's the 24th.
December 17th would also work, probably. Actually, that is getting close enough
The
to it.
funny thing about December 10th is that it's not December 24th.
Yeah.
Hey, Parker, what's the smallest kind of bear?
Teddy bear?
The bare minimum.
Nope.
Jeremy is so not impressed.
Nope.
All right, let's get out of here. You guys ready?